Welcome to the Anger Management Podcast.
Yes!
We are back, finally.
Oh, my God.
After another hiatus of several weeks.
I know I was mentioning this on our TikTok page last night, like, we're back, then we're not, then we're back, then we're not, then we're back.
It's tough going because I'm ill all the time.
Yes.
Liam's got piles.
Yeah, I'm catching up. Cheers, Andy. Thanks for that,
Liam's
mate.
going, it's all right, mate. You know, don't ever tell me anything personal because I will announce it to the world.
I know.
People in Uganda now are going, I wonder how Liam's managed to get piles at his age.
What are piles?
Piles. But we are back. It is episode 7
Yes.
of season 2. We've actually been doing this podcast now for over 12 months, Liam.
Bizarre. We've not been cancelled. We're still going, and people seem to enjoy this.
Well, enjoy is a
Yeah,
strong
it's
word.
a strong
but
word. We'll
we
take
have
it.
now got over 10,000 followers on TikTok.
Fucking mental.
And TikTok was something, when we started this podcast, you guys had to explain to me what it was. I had no idea. I thought it was like what a clock did.
It was just tits. That's all.
Well,
that
still
was,
sort of is tits,
that's all
isn't
it
it,
is.
really?
Don't get me wrong, but
Nothing's really changed there at all. It's just tits. But yeah, over 10,000 of you are watching
Bizarre.
our silly little shitty videos on TikTok.
yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that. We
Unbelievable,
really
man.
appreciate that. That voice that you hear then chiming in is our special guest, very special guest for this week, my good friend, Joe Price. Joe, welcome.
Cheers, boys. Thank you very much.
Thanks
Cheers for coming
thanks for coming on the
Dulcet
podcast
tones
this week.
over here.
There you go.
Soothing.
Joe is
Barry
a regular
White.
listener. He's one of those that's been there from the start.
Oh wow.
So thank you for that, mate. Thank you for.
I'm all of your TikTok followers.
There it
I've
is,
got
everything
10,000
was-
different
that's it.
devices.
Joe is the only guy that votes on the Graham poll.
It's
Yeah.
just me.
He's probably the only listener who actually knows who Graham Poll is, I think.
Pretty much.
But Joe, again, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Pleasure,
A little bit of
Pleasure.
background. I first met Joe in the 2014-15 football season, maybe 15-16, whatever it was. I went to play for a local club. I'd been retired for a year, and I got a call from Ging,
Yeah,
from
the
Dan
gaffer.
James, the gaffer, to ask me to go and play a final season. So I came out of retirement, and fuck me, we ended up winning the double. And Joe here was signed for us.
I was signed on.
He didn't play much because
Yeah.
he's actually mint.
Yeah.
Right? He
Obviously.
is. In all the years I've played football, I've played with some people who went on to be pros. And Joe is probably in the top 5 or 6 players I ever had the privilege of playing with.
Kind of you, mate. Thank
And
you.
That's a
it's
compliment.
true. Like I say, if you were shit, I'd tell everyone you were
Yeah.
shit, right? I'd just say you were a bench warmer, but you weren't. You were awesome. And Joe would play the odd game for us, when we were short or
Yeah.
when you didn't have a game on a Saturday. Joe would come in and make my life in centre midfield a lot easier. Joe's brother, Ben, was also
Yeah.
our captain.
Skipper.
He still is the
Yeah,
skipper.
still is.
And the Bird have just won the league
And
again.
they have. Well done to the boys.
So
to be
well
fair
done,
to 'em.
boys. Absolutely fantastic to the Bird. So that's where me and Joe originally met, and very quickly we sort of created a friendship. I think Joe, quite a well-spoken person, great sense of humour, shares a birthday with my son,
There we
which
are.
was this Monday, just gone.
Had you met my mother about 28 years ago,
Well, that-
Steve-O? Because you never know.
Well, there you go. Never know how that's gone down. But very quickly, we established a friendship based on not just football, but I think sport as a whole. Joe, the whole reason I've asked Joe to come on the podcast this week because you are a very knowledgeable person, particularly when it comes to sport.
Opinionated. But
Opinionated,
they're the same
yes.
thing, aren't they? Hand in hand.
And you've got a few adventures to tell us about regarding your sporting life and that, Joe.
Yeah.
Well, tell our listeners what it is that you do at the moment, Joe. Are you a bin man, a rocket scientist? What is it that you
all of
get
them
up to
things
these
and more.
days?
All of the above.
All of them things. I can't tell you what I am Friday and Saturday nights. but
Oh.
No, that's
I go by
secret.
another name. No, at the minute, working at Bet365, which,
Boo.
yeah, I know.
Nothing wrong with Bet365 apart
No,
from that horrible
The
club that
football
they own.
club, yeah, we've been over this. Let's
Boo.
not fight now.
Oh, dear.
Um,
Started.
But yeah, I got a degree the last summer.
Oh, congratulations.
Well, thank you. I was just setting
There we
myself
go,
up, but
you know.
I appreciate you congratulating me.
That's
As a
nice.
sports journalist, and
Oh,
then
wow.
moved into the sports content stuff at Bet365, and then hopefully, should or shouldn't say it, hopefully none of the employees are listening, should have a very good interview on Monday regarding another big move, but we shall see. We shall see. Fingers crossed. But yeah, everything's sport, isn't it? It's how we met. We're opinionated when it comes to it, rightly or wrongly. Sport is life, mate. What do we do in spare time? Football. What do we do when not playing football? Watching football.
Yeah.
Talking
There we
about
go.
football.
That's it.
You're going to see a common theme here, but no, other than a man with a beard.
It's a bit of a sports special,
Yeah,
I think.
it
this
is, a little
podcast.
bit.
It's, and a little bit more, but no.
So who are you playing for at the moment, Joe?
Currently on a Saturday with the Redgate lads, to be fair.
Oh, you're at Redgate,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
Good set of lads. I realised that
For
when
worldwide listeners, that is a team up in the city of Stoke-on-Trent, around that area. That's
Newcastle,
the league,
Clayton.
Newcastle.
Not
yeah.
the good Newcastle.
Yeah, not
Stoke shit
Newcastle upon
Newcastle.
Tyne.
Oh,
It's the
no, fuck
Stoke
that.
Newcastle.
Yeah, the awful
But
Newcastle.
good side, good setup there. So it's a case of this podcast. I think we're going to have a little bit of sport, maybe a little bit of politics, and a bit of piss,
Bit of everything.
bit of piss taking.
The
as
usual
as
anger management
usual.
podcast shenanigans.
I wanted to get straight in with one of Joe's topics for this week, which was after the last few weeks, we've had a few incidents. Joe wanted to discuss the state of boxing and the appeal of MMA. Now, I want to bring up straight away the Taylor Catterall fight.
It's disappointing.
I've watched a lot of boxing. I'm not a boxer. I can't box. I'm as soft as a tub of ice cream. But I love boxing. I've always loved boxing. I grew up, I was a teenager in the 90s when I believe boxing was at its best. But I still love boxing to this day, simply because I believe it's the purest sport.
Yeah.
I really do.
You know what, Andy?
Some listeners might not like boxing.
You've mentioned 90s, and what have you not done?
Oh, shit.
There we go. There we go.
The bell of
Gotta
knowledge.
get that in.
Ooh, I'm rusty,
I
mate.
know
I'm
what's
rusty.
going on.
Wow.
Fucking
The
hell.
bell of knowledge
Could warm up
strikes
at the
again.
I know, you're feeling all right.
But I did love boxing in the 90s, but I still love boxing today because it is a pure sport. And I watched the Taylor Catterall fight, and I've seen some travesties in my time. That was up there, Joe, for me. I think I made a post on Facebook. I think
Fucking
you were the
awful.
first person to comment on it, and I couldn't believe what I'd just seen. And I've watched the fight back several times, and no matter how I try to approach the fight, I can't
It's the
figure
same
out a
outcome.
way of scoring it so that it's not completely won by Catterall. Not won by a couple of points, but massively won.
I think kindly you could have given Taylor maybe 4 rounds. You could then that
That's
was
a push.
yeah that was trying. And it epitomises boxing at the minute. It's on its fucking arse, isn't it? Really, let's be honest. Like it's no surprise that this big appeal regarding like the YouTube boxers.
Oh, I hate that shit, man.
Yeah,
And
Liam
this is the problem.
is not
Hate.
a fan of YouTube
Oh,
boxers, are you, mate?
fucking hell.
We've discussed this on the radio before. Liam,
And I have
does
to
get his back
reel
up.
it in. I'm like, it boils my fucking blood. Like, and like I said, and like, I'm same as you guys. I enjoy boxing as the next person, but it's just a farce bringing in, like, you've got fucking Patrice Evra wanting to fight
Yeah.
a basketballer or something like that in a boxing match. What the fuck is going on?
Of course, the one I want to see now is Chris Rock against Will Smith.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Right.
We will get to that. one.
Surely we all want to see that like a proper punch up, don't
Oh
we?
well, yeah, that'd be funny.
But boxing for me, I agree, but I wouldn't say boxing is on its arse at the moment.
Yeah.
I think boxing has picked up recently, probably because of Tyson Fury a lot. I
Yeah,
think since Tyson Fury's been back, it's generated a lot of interest again. But we only have to look at the first Tyson Fury fight, don't we, really? The Fury-Wilder fight.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a knockdown right at the end, but how many of those rounds would you
10
have
maybe.
would you have given
Maybe
to
9.
Fury? 9 rounds, 10
the problem
rounds.
is when you go to the back garden, innit? But he did that against Klitschko and bopped his head off, and even the Germans, credit to him and all the judging panel there, they went, "This guy's just come and made us look like fucking idiots."
Yeah.
But I think for me, as much as I love boxing, I've always had difficulty with any sports that rely on opinion.
Mm.
Because you watch, I don't know, you watch a game of football, you watch a game of rugby, you watch a game of tennis, whatever it is. it's a point or it's not a point. It's a
Yeah.
try
Yeah,
or
yeah.
it's not a try.
Yeah.
There isn't any subjective way of looking at it, okay? So the ball's crossed the line or it hasn't crossed the line, okay? In boxing, unless there's a knockout, you are always relying on the opinion of 3 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 3 people, I honestly don't think that, particularly in world title fights these days, I don't think it's corrupt. I don't think they're getting backhanders or anything. I just think that some people have such a different way of scoring something. And it only takes that one person. You can have 50,000 people in an arena all going, well, only one person's won that fight.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it
yeah.
only takes that one person
Yeah.
to fuck it all up.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because I think in regards to like how corrupt it can be, I think it's grassroots, and I think in a world title, the issue you have in both sports actually, boxing and MMA, is that it seems very much like if you're going to come take the title, you've really got to beat me. You've got to show that you're not a champion. So a lot of the time, if it's a bit of a shit fight, they'll just sort of be like, well, we'll just give it the champ because you haven't really taken the belt from him, sort of thing. But like you say with that Catterall one, like, it's such a fucking joke.
I don't. When you watch it, I don't even think that the referee had got Catterall's arm halfway up,
yeah.
and even the ref was like, well, "What the fuck?"
Like a prisoner of war,
Yeah,
he's
I'm
halfway
gonna
up already.
put the other guy's hand up here.
Lower.
And it was a travesty, but it's not the first time that this has happened in boxing, and it won't be the last time. And unfortunately, I do feel that any sports that rely on opinion are always going to be subject to this kind of thing happening.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure what you can do.
Yeah.
Maybe for world title fights, 5 judges possibly, or I
To the death.
yeah, just
Yeah,
scrap
literally.
till
There must only be
scrap till
one.
the death. Yeah, that's it. Penalty punching shootout.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
Fucking Highlander.
but I'm not too sure what can be done to change that really.
Do you think though, lads, that corruption and bribery is still within the game as much as the governing bodies that will come out and say, "Oh no, we clamp down on it and it doesn't happen." Somewhere down the line, it's still happening. Maybe not as obvious as it was 10, 20 years ago, but do you think it's still incorporated into game and it sneaks in and stuff like that?
do.
I think
personally.
it is,
Yeah.
but I think the amount that it goes on, particularly in top level sport, is drastically reduced from even 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And then you go back to like the 30s and 40s, and it was all corrupt, wasn't it? But I think corruption now exists more on a corporate level. So
Yeah.
I mean, the perfect example, guys, is we're about to play the World Cup in a country that's got no professional football club,
Yeah.
right? That's got no interest in football whatsoever, that executes gay people, right? Has the worst human rights record of any country in the world,
Yeah.
right? And we're about to play the biggest sporting tournament in the world in that country, right? Now, I think it was it Carlo Ancelotti came out the other day and said, well, there's only one reason that's happening.
Oh, yeah.
It's money,
Yeah.
right? And FIFA tried to dress it up as, oh, no, well, we're trying to spread the game in
Yeah,
Qatar.
raise awareness.
No, you're not. Nobody
Yeah,
cares
all
about
right.
football in Qatar. And even if they did, there's only 10 people there. So what are you going to do? You're just going to have 2 sides playing each other every week. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Absolute bullshit. As far as the actual games being fixed, I'm sure it happens.
Yeah.
As was proven back in 2006 with Italy,
yeah.
of course. But I think in the main, it is incredibly difficult to fix something like a game of football. Some sports are different. Some things can be fixed. Cricket has got quite a lot of match fixing that goes on. But whether that's fixing the result of a game, a 4 or 5 day game of cricket, but a no ball can be bowled at a specific time,
Yeah.
for example, and little things like that. But
Yeah.
as regards match fixing per se, result fixing, particularly in top level sports, I think it's very, very rare. these
Yeah,
days,
no, I
and-
agree. And I think, like say, even like especially in English sport, is it's very difficult. Like say, you've got football, Championship, Premier League, even League One, League Two, it's difficult to manipulate the system and cheat your way to get a win. But like other divisions like the Bosnian League or Belgian League or wherever, I mean, you've only got to watch African Cup of Nations and the standard and quality of football. You're not telling me some of those games were rigged, like for scores, for goals, for whoever it may be. And it frustrates me. And but it goes to show that it is still there, it is still rife. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I mean, to be quite honest, like back to the boxing side of things, I mean, there's loads of AJ fans. I think it's just managed really well in regards to cheating. Like, AJ hasn't cheated his way to a title.
Oh, no.
I really don't think he has, but I think you can almost manipulate the system and be managed well to get there. Like, if you're telling me winning a title from Charles Martin's credible, you know what I mean? Like, you're talking about an era, the 90s, back when...
Thank
Hey.
you, Joe. Thank
Back
you.
when,
Well done. You can come again.
Thank you. You've got, like, Tyson and Lennox and things like that.
Yeah.
Big boys have to beat big boys, do you know what I mean? Or big girls, of course. And this is the thing where I get on to MMA, where there's only... I know, obviously, there's different organisations, sorry.
No, I'm not an MMA person. For our listeners who might not be MMA people, just explain what MMA is.
We're mixed martial arts, so, I mean, without getting, too technical, I can punch you in the face, I can kick you in the face, I can try and snap your arm, choke you out. It's less barbaric than it sounds. Consider it human chess more than two men trying to
Human chess.
kick lumps
I
out
mean,
of you.
to
Like
me, I've watched it, and I've got to be honest with you, I can't stand it. I think it's toss. I think it's like two youths having a punch up in the playground at school,
that, rolling around and hugging.
but obviously really bullet hard.
Yeah.
Not two pansies trying to hit each other with a history textbook. Right? It's proper full on scrapping.
Trying to steal your Pokemon cards.
I don't feel it's got that finesse that boxing's got.
No.
I think that's what my issue with it is. And I really don't like somebody goes down and you can jump on top of them and start pounding them. To me, that's just barbarism. It doesn't feel like sport to me. MMA fans, get in touch and tell me what a complete prick I am and how wrong I am. That's fine. But I'm not an MMA person at all, and I have tried, Joe. I'm not one of these. I'm not one of these people who's just made a decision. I have tried. Strangely enough, I did watch a little bit of MMA back in the 90s when it was almost unheard of, and I had a friend called Dave. Everyone's got a friend called Dave.
I know about to say.
Everyone in Britain knows someone called Dave. Every single person.
There we go.
At least
Anyway,
one.
Dave was really into this mixed martial arts stuff when we were kids, when we were teenagers. And he lent me a VHS once.
Bloody hell videos.
And it had some absolute Brutus. He was a Brazilian guy. I remember he was like 7 foot tall Brazilian guy. And he'd just go in the ring and he could just pick 6 foot blokes up with like one hand and just And I remember thinking, this is nuts. Because were there even weight categories back in the early days,
No,
Joe?
first UFC was basically any size sort of thing, and they didn't really have any rules. Like, there's a video of one, can't remember the names to be quite honest, but there's this massive bloke. He almost looks like either a sumo wrestler mixed with a Samoan sort of thing. He's a big boy.
Big years.
Yeah. Like, if he's telling you get home for 10 o'clock, you're home for half an hour.
Yeah,
He's a big boy. Yeah.
Don't look at his missus.
Oh God, no. Ooh, I bet she's dread to think. Nevertheless, he like, there's a smaller chap who's running up and just like kicks his teeth out. Just kicks him square in the face, or they're snapping their arms, or there's some people that are trying to palm him in the nose, and it's not safe.
Wow.
But everything has to start at some point. I suppose if you look back at boxing, it is a sweet science, and I'll never disagree with that. Like, it's the first combat sport that I sat, watched, and loved. But like you say now, sadly, you never see the best fight the best in it, which is
and
annoying.
it's sad. It's very sad. I mean, let's be honest. We all wanted to see Anthony Joshua fight Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
That's what I don't just think for British people. I think for absolutely everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, because I don't know either of those two blokes, but something never felt quite right with either of them. I always got the impression that neither really wanted to fight the other one somehow.
Yeah.
High risk.
And
innit?
well, it is high risk,
Yeah.
but all the great champions put everything on the line.
Yeah.
And I'm a Tyson Fury person. I like Tyson Fury because he's outspoken and he's fucking crackers at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And he's just He's what we'd all like to be. He's got a dad bod. And
Yeah,
he's what we'd all love to be heavyweight champion of the world, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Every single one of
He
us.
suffered with his mental health and come out on the other side. And
Exactly. And I do believe that Tyson Fury is the best boxer, probably since heavyweight boxer, since Lennox Lewis.
I'd have to agree.
Whereas Anthony Joshua, like Joshua as a guy, I think he's a kind of bloke I'd love to sit there and have a pint with, and I think he's been a good ambassador for boxing. But you know what? He fought Klitschko when he was my age, older than me, right? And he hasn't fought any, apart from losing to Usyk, he hasn't fought anyone.
No,
he hasn't
not
fought
really.
anybody any good
No.
at all. And to me, he was sitting there with 3 of the 4 world championship belts. And if I'd have been Anthony Joshua there, I would have gone, I don't care if I get paid a tenner, I'm fighting Tyson Fury because
principle.
I'm going to fight Tyson Fury and show the world that I'm the best. He
Yeah.
doesn't need another fucking 50 million quid.
As a
Right?
fuck.
Does he fuck? He could have gone to Tyson Fury. Can you imagine how popular Anthony Joshua would have been if he said, you know what, Tyson, we'll fight in Las Vegas where you want fight, right? Where you love it. We'll fight there. You can have the whole fucking purse. You can have it fucking all.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take them. I'm going to take that belt off you and be undisputed champion. Because I don't give a fuck about the money. I give a fuck about winning the fucking fight, right? And he would have been a fucking hero. Win or lose, he'd have been a fucking hero.
People have gone.
But
size
now
of him.
everybody thinks, he didn't really do much to get that over the line, did you? You know what I mean?
And I think with how Fury is and obviously his family and stuff, like you said before, Joshua seems like an Olympian, doesn't he?
Yeah, it does,
Prim,
yeah.
proper, come through the system. Oh, he's clean cut. You'd take him round your teeth, show him to your nan sort of thing.
Yeah, you would. You'd be all right if your daughter came home with Anthony Joshua. You'd probably be okay with that.
Yeah,
Should
if
probably
she
be
came
more
home with Tyson Fury, you'd be like, oh my
What's
fucking
happening
god.
here?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think boxing needs desperately to start making the matchups that the world wants to see again.
I think British boxing as well, Andy, like saying, I mean, there's been talk of if the Fury and the Joshua fight does go ahead, it'll either be in Qatar or Abu Dhabi or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why not have it? Why not give this
Why is it
to
not in Manchester
exactly
or London
Wembley
or Birmingham
or
where-
wherever? You know, give this to the everyday Englishman because no Englishman's going to want to go to Abu Dhabi or Qatar or wherever.
Well,
let's
no,
be
of course
honest.
you're not going to want to go Qatar because, especially if you're gay or a woman.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But hold on, we'll hold the World Cup there. Hey!
Great idea. Great
anyway,
idea.
guys, I want to touch on a serious subject. We are having a little bit of a dedication podcast this week. I'll cut a long story short again. I lost one of my very best friends 10 days ago. A young man called Simon Clulo. And Simon is a guy who I grew up with. I knew from when I was 5 years old through football, Joe, as you do when you're kids. We got to teenagers. We learnt guitar together. We became musicians together. We've made music together and been in bands together, and been friends for a long, long, long time. And unfortunately, Simon had a brain hemorrhage. Like I say, 10 days ago, at 39 years old. He wasn't even 40 yet, and we lost him, unfortunately. And it's been a very tough 10, 11 days, whatever it is now, for me and my extended group of friends, and we've all grown up together. So I thought that we could play a few local and old tracks from yesteryear, several of which involve Simon. I'm going to play one of Simon's songs when we finish the podcast. It's going to be the last track that we play. And I thought there'd be no better way of honouring Simon's memory to play a few tracks that I know he would appreciate me playing. So I'm going to start with a track written by my other good friend, Mark Cottrell. Mark was actually in my band when I was a young guy, and Mark became a producer and an engineer very similar to myself. Wonderful musician. And Mark wrote this with Simon. Simon is actually doing the lead vocals on this song. And this song was written about Mark's dad, Rod, who I knew well ever since I was a little kid. So I would like to say a shout out to Rod. Rod passed away during lockdown.
Oh,
And Mark had a tough time. Obviously, couldn't see him, and
yeah.
although I won't go into it, we all know what was going on.
Yeah.
But Mark wrote this song with Simon and created this song about his old man, and the song is called "Great Man," and it's an absolute
Beautiful.
tune, guys. So I'm gonna play this to you. We'll have a listen, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
I have a feeling I'll be lost without you by my side. And even when I'm gone, your warmth fills up my mind. Your lessons in my head find the strength to carry on. You're my father and my friend, and I'll be yours till the end. And even though it's clear, I know something, that the love that we all share, we're lucky. And for the times that we fall, your love will save us all. No matter what, you're always our great man. How will I forgive you when I'm living life without you? It's hard enough to see you getting old. How will I ever get through the endless days without you? Without you, I'm a shadow of a man. You're not feeling strong. Strength lives on through time. Like a beacon shining high, you guide us with your light. And if you ever question why, just take a breath, look within our eyes. You see that it's alright. Love transcends dreams within our lives. I feel it now, all our hopes and fears. Listening to your song, the living years. For the times that we fall, your love will save us all. No matter what, you're always our great man. How will I forgive you when I'm living life without you? It's hard enough to see you getting old. Will I ever get through the endless days without you? Without you, I'm a shadow of a man. Ticking clock, check my watch again. Love rings true, racing through my veins. It's hard to see the memories of our love. The flicker of as we left
Welcome back to the Anger Management Podcast with me, Andy Stevenson.
Me, Liam Simcox.
Me, Joe Price.
Yeah,
look at that.
Joe's
Beautiful.
got it nailed straight
That is how
away.
you do it.
That's how you, Matt, if you're listening, right, that's how you do it for next time.
There you go.
Fellas, we have just listened to an emotional, gut-wrenching masterpiece of a song from Mark Cottrell and my late great friend Simon Clulo. Great man, written about Cott's dad, Rodders. That is a song, I don't say it lightly, but got to be one of the best songs we've featured on the Anger Management Podcast.
You know what, Steve-O? I'd honestly agree with you. I would.
I'm obviously biased. Mark and Simon are old friends of mine, but I've just said off air, it amazes me how we feature songs from all across the globe on this podcast, and I know musicians from my job. Obviously, I know musicians from all around the world, and I have to be honest, the amount of great musicians we've got in our local area of Cheadle, the Staffordshire Moorlands and Stoke-on-Trent, it blows my mind. It really, really does. And Mark and Simon are just two examples of what we've got in this local area. So again, I just want to say thanks to Cott for letting me play that on the Anger Management Podcast.
Yeah,
you can find Mark and Simon. So it's Mark Cottrell and Simon Clulo. They are in all the usual streaming places. Simon, since his untimely passing last week, has actually gone. I think he made it to #1 in the UK country charts.
Oh, wow.
With another one of his songs. So I encourage everybody who's enjoyed that to get onto Spotify or Tidal or Apple Music, wherever it is. Check out Simon's stuff and check out Mark's stuff as well. They're both absolutely fantastic. So I had to wipe a couple of tears away then during the break. That was emotional stuff. So thanks, guys. There's a lot more to discuss on the Anger Management Podcast, and we are on, as we know, episode 7.
The penultimate episode of season 2.
Exactly. We will be featuring songs from around the globe on the next podcast, the final podcast of the series.
Crazy.
And Liam is going to tell you guys exactly how you can get in touch and submit your music if you would like to have it featured here on the podcast.
Yes, you can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on TikTok. Anger Management Studios, Anger Managed Pod on Twitter. Like I said, 10,000 followers on TikTok. Who'd have thought, Steve-O? Absolutely bizarre.
I honestly thought it'd just be a couple of videos of me and you shaking a man boobs
Whereas
around.
only flans.
Yeah, and then we get banned.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
I just thought we'd be banned instantly.
or only
but no, it
friends, or
turns out
whatever it was.
people are actually enjoying it.
And it's mad. And you can also buy us a brew. So obviously you can donate whatever you want to towards the podcast, any way, shape or form. And 100% of your donation goes towards supporting the Anger Management
Supporting
Podcast.
our drug habits, which is tea.
Can we cut that out? Shit.
Get in touch, guys. Get in touch.
Oh, tea. Oh,
it's
right. Okay.
it's always appreciated. Liam, I wanted to come to you. I just got a little message a couple of weeks ago, and it just simply said, "Hate Facebook Marketplace."
It was.
That was it. That's all it said.
It was-
Hate Facebook
And
Marketplace.
I think there was like a voice recording rant because that's how we make this podcast.
This is how we roll.
Just in like WhatsApp group, and it's just the shit you see on Facebook Marketplace. And like, I'll give you my little one, and I'll go into the main one. So a little one is I like my gaming, as you know.
Tell us
Steve-O.
before you get into that, for listeners who might not even use Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
I'm one of those people. I've never used it. Tell us, is it like an eBay?
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
So
thing, or
basically,
like an auction?
yeah. So like, you can sell stuff on Facebook. So if you know someone, Doris or Sharon, there you go, she's back.
Sharon's back.
She wants to sell her drawers, so she'll take a few pictures, put it
Hang
on.
on, drawers like what you put clothes in,
Yeah,
or,
yeah,
or
this is
drawers
going, yeah.
like
There we go.
1930s pants.
There we go. Okay, yeah. So or a wardrobe or cupboard or whatever it may be. She'll take a few pictures, stick it on Facebook, and set a price of 20 quid. So then Gary, Dave, or Steve, or whoever can go onto Facebook Marketplace, see Sharon selling her drawers, and buy them for 20 quid. There we go. Simple as that. And but
Okay.
yes, so for me, I'm a gamer, as you know, and
Gay.
gay. Shut up, Steve-O. So like things like
See, this is the kind of stuff that will one day get us banned. We're not homophobic
No,
in
not
the
at all.
slightest bit.
we just rip each other to shreds.
There you go.
And if you're easily offended, please go and listen to something
Yeah,
else.
yeah. If you're easily offended, go be mates with Will Smith.
Yeah,
Way!
Bants. But yeah, so like gaming and stuff like that. And so like earlier I saw a PS4 game that came out 4 or 5 years ago. And this person wanted to sell it for £20, right? You can pick it up brand spanking new for £12.
So they wanted an £8 price increase
Yeah,
on a
second-hand game. Or
Okay.
this
Right.
one, this one's even better. Obviously, we have shops like CEX and all that sort of thing that you can trade in your games. And people will sell games on Marketplace and leave the sticker on from CEX for like, so CEX, you can see they paid 20 quid for this game, and this person might be selling it for £15 on Facebook Marketplace. So you want me to buy a third-hand game
Third-hand.
for £15? No.
This gets your goat, doesn't
And
it?
it's just
mate?
like, I don't understand people's logic in prices. And the main one for me is people that sell cars on Facebook Marketplace, and the phrase that, and I'm sure if you listen to this, you'll have seen this phrase, and it pisses me right off. I paid X amount of money for it. I don't give a
So?
fuck how much you paid for this. So it's like a guy selling a Ford Focus. I paid 1,500 quid for it, but I'll take 1,200 quid. Mate, you've had it 7 years.
Yeah, that's
You've
it.
put 50,000 miles on it.
It's got 3
50
wheels,
quid.
man.
Yeah, I'm about to say, it's got a smashed window, and that's just people just want to, and I think it's just full of con artists, and they just want your money, and they don't give a
It's
shit.
very similar in the music world, in the guitar world, and the pro audio world. There's a site called Reverb,
Yeah,
and that's basically eBay for music.
Yeah.
And so there's a guy that I follow on YouTube, and he actually does a weekly show called Ridiculous Reverb Listings, right?
Okay.
And people just send him stuff they found on Reverb, and it'll be like, it'll say 1997 Fender Stratocaster Mexican.
Tortilla wrap
With scratch plate, once got, and it'll be something like Eric Clapton once got his pubes caught in the scratch plate, right?
Yeah.
So
alright.
that guitar then goes from 300 quid
To
to
300.
35
Yeah, about
grand,
to say.
right? Because it's got one of Eric Clapton's pubes wedged in the
Fuck
fucking fretboard.
off, man.
Honestly, it's ludicrous. But the craziest thing is, people pay for this.
This is
shit.
what I don't
That's
get.
the worst thing. Some of you people out there, maybe even listening to this podcast, would pay 30 grand for Eric Clapton's pube in a Fender scratch plate, right? That's what you would do. You guys are the problem, not the people ripping folk off. You guys are the problem, right? It's insane. Absolutely insane.
But how gullible are people and how stupid people must be? It's like,
Well, how do you prove it's Eric Clapton's pube? For a
it
start,
could be yours.
does it come with a little
Yeah,
certificate of
You know what I mean?
authenticity?
Sounds like Eric, but I'm not too
Smells like
sure.
Eric.
Yeah.
Tastes like Eric.
Yeah. Oh, can't be sure.
Is he always a ginger?
See the boys
Ginger
in the lab. Test this for me.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Awful. But people are so easily rinsed.
Gullible.
And you have to be very careful when you buy anything online. At
Just
all.
anything, wherever you buy shit from, just be careful.
I thought the best one I've read about is somebody I know that bought a video game.
Mm.
And they were like, "Oh, this is great. This is really, really good. This is. I've like got a proper bargain on this. Whatever it was, they pay like 5 quid or something. Proper bargain for a 40 quid game." And it turned up, and it was the manual. It was the manual for the game. No, not even a box. Just the fucking manual.
Oh my god, you'd be devastated,
Oh,
wouldn't you?
mate.
5 quid for a pad.
Yeah.
Nah, mate.
But then you go back and you read through the listing properly, and there is actually no mention that the game's included.
Just
Yeah,
says
it's
manual.
just-
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
so you
Manual.
haven't got a fucking leg stand on.
Fucking
you know what I mean?
idiot.
You're absolutely up shit creek without a paddle. There's nothing you can do about
But if
it.
there are people out there that have had similar experiences, please do get in touch with us and do let us know so we can rip the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Pubes or no pubes?
Yeah.
Pubes
Eric Clapton's or
no
not.
pubes.
Oh,
I wanted
dear.
to discuss something that's really been getting my goat in
Oh,
the
come
last
on, Andy.
in the
Let's
last
hear
month.
it.
We all know what's going on across in Ukraine at the moment, but the thing that's really, really getting on my tits is what I always call hollow bandwagon gestures.
Yes.
Okay. I hate bandwagon jumpers. I did make a TikTok video about this, so those of you who follow us on TikTok have probably heard me ranting like fuck about this the
Love a
other
good
day.
rant. Love it.
Bandwagon jumpers pisses me off somewhat rotten. It doesn't matter what the current trend is, whatever it is, you find it and you get the fuck on that bandwagon.
And then suddenly they become experts of it.
Yeah.
And like say,
So the entire world now has stopped being experts on virology and illnesses and viruses.
Oh, okay,
right?
yeah.
News.
Now they're absolute experts on the geopolitical climate in Eastern Europe.
yeah, about
right?
to say.
These people, a lot of these people, wouldn't have been able to point to Ukraine on a map 6 weeks ago, right? And they can't fucking wait to get the fucking flags out, change the status on Facebook, and I sit there and I'm like, well, you did know there was a lot of shit going down before Russia invaded in Ukraine, don't you? Yeah. Crimea was fucking 8 years ago, or it was longer than that actually, wasn't it? However many years ago it was, 9 years or something, right? Why didn't none of you give a fuck then?
Yeah.
Why didn't you give a fuck then?
It pisses me off. It's like, excuse me. So obviously that has happened in Ukraine and Russia, and then no sooner the day after this was announced that it had happened, I'm seeing Facebook like Ukraine flags in people's and profile pictures, and I stand
Who
with
has
Ukraine.
a Ukraine flag though? Like 10 hours after? What, did they see the news? They see the news and go, right, first thing in the morning, I'm going to be in a shop doorway, waiting for it open, fucking whatever the shop mate, Ukraine or us, right? Wherever that is, right? And they're outside the fucking door of the shop waiting for it open, going, I'm going to buy all the flags, I'm going to buy all of them, so I can give them me mates, right? Me weird lefty tree-hugging mates, and we can all have a picture taken, and we can all put it on Facebook, because we're all desperate for, Liam,
attention.
There it is.
Ding, 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 ding,
there
ding,
it
ding.
fucking is. And I would hazard a guess that a lot of these fucking people don't really give a flying fuck
do they
about what's going on in
and
Ukraine.
it's like, it's not just people and like sharing on Facebook. It's like, it's sports teams as well. So like teams like Barnsley, QPR, even Stoke City, like have changed the badge to a blue and yellow to support Ukraine.
There we go.
Shove it up your fucking arse.
Have they stopped crawling around on the knees now for that terrorist organisation?
It's all right. Don't worry, Steve-O, because Barnsley have changed the profile picture on Twitter to blue and yellow.
Oh, right.
That's
well,
it.
That'll sort the problem. Vladimir Putin will just fucking shit himself now, won't he?
That's it. He's seen it and gone, no, best not
He's
fuck with
sitting there with
Barnsley.
these generals
I do
going...
like Barnsley.
He's sitting there with these generals going, fellas, do not say anything bad about the Barnsley.
Fucking honest
That
turned
was a
up.
bit, that was a bit German again, wasn't it? I was
The
your
beaches.
The beaches. We will fight them on the
Oh,
beaches.
yes. That's a throwback.
But you can't imagine Vladimir ever being bothered that Barnsley have changed the badge, can you? At
No,
all?
can you
just wouldn't fucking care.
But again, it's just bandwagon jumping and it's supporting the current thing. And it's like you say, you see on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, and it's all this, oh, it's so sad. It's heartbreaking. Thoughts and prayers with Ukraine.
Oh, no, don't thoughts and prayers, me Liam, for fuck's sake. Thoughts and fucking prayers, honestly. Get a fucking grip, people. I'm going to put this out for all you there who are now thinking Steve and Liam are a pair of absolute twats. They don't know what they're on about. I'm just going to tell you that thoughts and prayers don't do fucking anything, right? They do fuck all, right? Because all you're doing is praying, right? Which does nothing, right? And thinking, which does nothing. I tell you what does do stuff. Actions.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
I like them.
Actions.
But
So if you're going to have your thoughts and prayers, fine.
Yeah.
But combine them with fucking actions.
Back it up.
okay?
yes.
Do fucking something with
Yeah.
your thoughts and fucking prayers, you absolute twats.
But like
honestly.
I said, there's support lines. We touched on this on the last podcast. There are numbers you can call. There are donations that you can do. You can support left, right, and centre. It's entirely up to you. But don't sit there behind the keyboard and say thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and
it's
prayers.
so sad. I wish I could do more. You can fucking
Can
do more.
we went down as Anger Management Studios. I went down to Brighton on Sunday for a last minute charity. It was a Christian charity fundraiser for Ukraine, and I donated my time and effort to that.
Wow,
that cause,
there we go.
all the way down in Brighton. It was a 28-hour day for me, and I went down, and that was honestly my first bit of proper work since I've had the surgeries I've had, and it was a long day, but I didn't sit there going thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
I thought, you know what, I'll fucking do something, right? I didn't sit behind the mixing console going thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, stand behind the microphone.
I actually mixed the gig.
Don't press anything like
Yeah,
the big man will do this. Let's just think and pray for it.
Can you go and test their microphones on stage? Yeah, 1 second. Gets on front of the stage. Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers.
1, 2, thoughts and
prayers.
fucking prayers. Absolute bollocks.
And if you are offended, I bet you've got a Ukraine flag on your profile picture.
Yeah, I bet you have.
There you go.
And
Am
if
I
you
wrong?
are offended, please fuck off. We don't want you listening. I can't be straight enough. As we say all the time, if you're offended, go fuck yourself. We don't want you listening.
There we go. There we go.
It's that simple.
And we have been on for more than 2 seasons now, so you should know what we're about by now.
10,000 TikTok followers now.
That's it,
No,
boys.
it's
That's
driving
it.
seat, aren't
global
you?
now, mate.
That's it.
Global.
It's all them
Particularly
thoughts and
time.
prayers. It's all them
Uganda with
thoughts and
proper
prayers.
celebrities over there. in
I don't know.
Uganda.
I know what you could do, Steve-O. Stick a pub in one of your, one of your guitars
Yeah.
and we'll sell it for 50 grand.
We're going to change the subject slightly. We're going to stay on a light one. I think this was one of your topics, Joe. The state of pop music.
Oh.
Was that one of yours?
You're a musical man, Steve.
Well, you
So I've looked
use
around
that
the
term
room
loosely.
and there's a maraca and a cymbal somewhere. I think I can see.
There we go.
yeah.
There's
We've got
about,
these on the wall
there's about
behind us.
40 guitars in the other room, so it
Allegedly,
gives
you're
it
a
away.
music man. Oh, it's just. I mean, I listen to the radio all day at work. I mean, I'm a Radio X man. I like it.
Yeah,
it's for
I
me.
like Radio X.
I'm that
Nothing
sort
wrong
of
with
boy.
that.
Liam is actually a radio DJ.
Yeah.
And so was I, but
Yeah,
I
see?
had to
There we
stop
go.
because of my
We're with the right
shit
people for this.
health
There we go.
issues.
Thank you. I'll take that. I'll take it.
Are we running out of music? Why is every fucking song?
Thank you,
like,
Joe.
We ran out. We ran out
Have we
a while
run out?
ago.
Is that
mate.
it?
I
we
feel,
done?
like, I feel like
We've
we've
got
run
more
out.
oil left than music.
Yeah.
I
my
feel like we've run out 15 years ago because it's just, if you're not an Ed Sheeran fan or an Ariana Grande fan or a Demi Lovato fan.
On and on day.
Ariana Donanande. That's a Mexican sister, cousin, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, but it's just the same old music over and over again. And if it's not the same music, it's sampling old music.
Yeah.
And it fucking drives me mad. And I make a point of doing on my radio show, like playing music and stuff like that. I refuse to play the same song by an artist more than once throughout my slot because I'm just like, it's all about variety. And I pride myself on my show of being variety and stuff like that. And it was the same when we were doing the sports show, wasn't it, Andy? And we just, it's about mixing it up as well and playing songs and artists that you might not have heard for the last 20, 25 years. But not just the same old garbage, the regurgitated bollocks that we see over and over and over again.
I find modern pop music particularly that there are still fantastic musicians and fantastic bands, fantastic singers and artists all over the world. The problem that you've got now is it's a lot more difficult to hear that music in the mainstream. Okay. So you've only got, I think it was something like 90% of the world's streams last year were from 2% of the world's artists. So I can't remember the exact figures. Something ridiculous like that. Then you've got the legacy artists, so your Queens and your Rolling Stones and your Beatles and things like that, which still make up the bulk of the streams. But modern music, I know some great bands. I listen to some great bands. But you'd never hear them on the radio.
No, exactly.
You'd never, and the proliferation of music and technology as well in the last 10 years particularly has meant that the market has become so overly saturated. So I look back into the 90s, okay, when I first started making music as a musician and as an engineer and a producer. So if you wanted to make a record with your band, you had to have two things. One was talent. You had to
First
have
and
talent
foremost.
because there was no way of cheating. You had to
paramount.
be able to play your instruments. You had to be able to write your songs. You had to be able to play in time. You had to be able to sing in key, right? You had to be able to do all those things in a very specific time restraint, okay? Because, this brings me on to number two, it cost a shitload of money.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Okay, so you would go in a studio, even back then in the 90s, and even in a bog standard studio, you'd be paying £100 an hour, right? In the 90s. Okay,
Pays for itself, that bell.
it's a lot. It's a lot of money. Okay, so you go in and you make an album of 12 songs
Mm.
at £100 an hour. You're in there for 2 weeks at least.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, and
definitely.
you're in there when you make a record. You're not in for 4 hours or 5
No,
hours.
you're
You're in there
fucked.
for 18, 19 hours a day.
Yeah.
And you get a bit of sleep in the studio, and then you start again. It cost a lot of money. So you had to have talent. You had to have the willingness to put your money where your mouth was right back then. Today, you need a phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
an
You
auto
need a
tune.
phone.
Yeah, pretty much.
That is it. You can make music on a phone with GarageBand, for example, which is free. If you've got an Apple device, it's completely free, and you can make releasable quality music. I say releasable quality music. It's because a lot of music is so dumbed down these days because of that. And what it means is you don't need any musical talent to release music.
Yeah, of
you don't
course
need, you
not.
don't need any at all. And this isn't to say that a lot of the modern pop artists are talented. That's not what I'm saying. But the market is so oversaturated with artists who are fucking shite, absolutely shite. And it's one of the reasons that I love playing unsigned music on our podcast.
Yeah, that's what
And
we pride ourselves on.
you guys have heard the standard of stuff that sometimes it's a bit rough around the edges and that, but you've got to remember that these are amateur artists, right? These aren't people who've got 4 album deals from Universal Records
exactly.
or whoever it may be.
And like I say, and we pride ourselves on variety, don't we, Steve? And like, we'll never knock an artist.
Plague Hammer.
Beautiful.
Plug Fat Hammer.
Pluvagama. Great. But we'll never knock someone for sending music in because, like you say, yeah, fair enough, it is a little rough around the edges or halfway through a burlesque dance, a rap might kick in.
We've had spoken word. We've
There we go.
had the Scots poets,
that was
for example.
amazing.
We've featured all kinds of stuff, but I think that that's important. And the internet is a double-edged sword because it gives us access to share all that music about. But as regards the mainstream, still there is only a certain amount of radio stations, and those radio stations in the main play a lot of the same pop.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
the
pretty
fucking
much.
time. And it's not good music, and a lot of it, I have to be frank, a lot of it is quite simply stolen.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
stolen.
it is.
Ed Sheeran is waiting for the verdict
I was just about to say that.
of his song at the moment. The song's called
Shape of You.
Shape of You. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like the song personally. I loved Ed Sheeran when he first came out.
Yeah, I
have to
did.
be
Yeah.
honest.
Man
Thought
with
his
the guitar,
first album
raw.
was
Yeah.
absolutely fucking great. Yeah. Can't do with the guy now. I swear down, he would make a record with Fred fucking West if it got him in the fucking charts, right? It drives me mad. You know, Jimmy Savile. He'd make it with fucking Rolf Harris if he could get him in the fucking charts.
It's a risky album. this is.
Exactly.
you
Yeah,
tell what-
isn't it just?
Can you tell what it is yet?
But I've listened to. I obviously knew the song "Shape of You," and I've now listened to the song that apparently he's pinched it off, and it's pinched.
Yeah, you can
Let's be
tell
honest,
straight away,
it's
can't you?
pinched,
Yeah.
Right. And I'm a songwriter, and don't get me wrong, I've got songs of mine where I've heard other songs later and gone, you know what? I can totally see the similarities in my song and that song. The best example for one of mine was I wrote a song when I was in New York in 2005, and I called the song New York Tension. I brought it back to band practice. We started learning it. The day after we first started learning it, the Foo Fighters released Best of You. And the fucking intro was exactly exactly the same. The lyrics weren't the same, obviously, but the guitar part, the melody was almost, and I had to knock it on the head because I was
Wow.
like, it sounds just like it, and I couldn't have heard it previously because it
Yeah.
hadn't been released. But it does happen.
circumstance.
It just does happen.
Yeah.
And I've got songs now that I've released that you can hear the influence, but I know the difference between hearing the influence of something and letting it inspire you to just knocking it off.
Yeah.
And that Ed Sheeran one is not there. He's got 4 songwriters on that song or whatever it is. There's no way one of them hasn't come in the studio after having listened to that song and gone, you know, we'll have that
Yeah,
away.
and it's like and then he's come out and tried justifying it by saying he credits all. He does use music from other artists, but he always credits them. I've not once seen Ed Sheeran go up for a Brit Award or a Grammy or whatever and say, "I'd like to dedicate this song to Milla Vanilla or
Miller Vanilla.
Wham or
Didn't he
whoever."
play for Cameroon? Oh, that was Roger Miller. Sorry.
You know, or anyone like that, or this is from a.
With his little shake.
But I've never seen it, and to be honest, I think he deserves what he gets. To be honest, and I do hope he gets done for it. Honestly,
They're all at it though. There was Rick Beato, who's a very famous musician. I follow his channel on YouTube, and he earlier this year or last year, whenever it was, he was doing a Justin Bieber one, and he played the Justin Bieber song, and it was Toto.
oh yeah.
So he played them, but the only thing he'd had to do is slow one of the tracks down by a couple of beats per minute, and he played them together, and they were the same key, the same tempo, the same drum pattern, the same melody. Everything
Wow.
was exactly the
right.
same. The only thing that was changed was the lyrics, yeah, and it was the same song. And he had, I think there was 11 writers on that song, 11 writers. Which I find amazing because I write all my songs on my own for my band. I just write them. I had 11 songwriters. You telling me not one of them 11 knew that song by Toto?
Yeah.
Absolute bollocks.
It's like there's there is a cover of well, I don't know if it's a cover or what, to be honest, but someone's released Africa with Colin Hay still singing it in background, and it's more like a drum and bass, like a boom 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 boom, like like a drum and bass up tempo sort of song, and I'm just like, people are getting paid for this. Someone's made this in the studio, and they'll be getting credits, they'll be getting publicity, they'll be getting money from it, and I'm just like, you've basically took someone else's product, put a bass track on it, and lowered tempo down. What's the difference?
What's the difference exactly? I think musical theft is a big issue at the moment. But again, then I'll say, is somebody going to invent some new notes? There's only those many notes.
So many,
Suppose
you know?
words as well. We're running out of them, aren't we?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's only so many ways you can arrange things, but we'll see. I'm just not a fan of modern pop music. I'm simply not. I think it's very cookie cutter, or cookie cutter, as you'd say if you're a bit posher than me. And I'm not a big fan of modern pop music at all.
If someone sampled us chatting shit on the Anger Management podcast and turned it into a song, I'd be fucking well impressed, though, to be fair. I'm just putting it out there.
On that note, we're going to move on to our next song. Again, I'm going to keep the theme of local musicians who had a lot to do with my dearly departed friend Simon Clulo, who, as we touched upon in the last segment, passed away 10 days ago. And I want to play a song by one of Simon's other best friends, a man called Gavin Ball. And Gav is also one of my best and oldest friends. He's an unbelievably talented musician, guys. And he wanted me to play this song. He grew up again with Simon through football. He always says they were bench warmers together. So I want to play this song from Gav. Gav has literally only wrote this recently. He wanted me to tell listeners that this is just a demo. This isn't a song that he's released yet or anything, but it's something that he knew Simon liked this song. They used to send the tracks across to each other and get a bit of advice from each other and find out what they could do to improve. The song is called "Walking in the New York Snow," and Gav did want me to. He did want me to play this little thing that he just sent me just before we came on air, and he wanted me to. I'm going to try and play it down the microphone so that you guys can hear what he wanted to say.
Farewell, old friend. Sleep tight. Fly high. I know this ain't our last goodbye. We'll share one more stage up in the sky. One more thing before you go. Sing one last song for the road, my bro. Thank you for all the beautiful memories, the happy times from bench warmers through to budding, aspiring musicians, and staying in touch and always having so much love and mutual respect for each other. And gonna miss you, dude, but we'll meet again on the other side. Peace and love.
And that was Gav. That was his message to Simon. So we're gonna play this song. I got a tear in my eye again here, guys. So we're just gonna try and smash through. We're gonna play "Walking in the New York Snow" by my good friend Gav Ball. Let's do it.
Baby's in a brand new coat, walking in the New York snow. She's wrapped up head to toe, cheeks are all aglow, I'm so in love. Standing down in strawberry fields, place I never thought I'd see. I pay my respects to John, then we head off and we're gone somewhere else. By the time we get to Arkansas, we'll get another chance at life. Then I know we got it right. Maybe in the south of France, a coffee shop in Amsterdam we'll rise. Then I know we got it right. I know we got it right. Baby's in a brand new dress, California sunset. Joni Mitchell sings those songs, we sing, dance along, it's the best. By the time we get to Arkansas, we'll get another chance at life. We got it right. Maybe in the south of France, a coffee shop in Amsterdam we'll rise. Then I know we got it right. By the time we get to Arkansas, we'll get another chance at life. Then I know we got it right. Maybe in the south France, a coffee shop in Amsterdam we'll rise. And I know we got it right. I know we got it right. Baby's in a brand new coat, walking in the New York snow, wrapped up head to toe, cheeks are all aglow, I'm so in love.
Welcome back to the Anger Management Podcast once again with me, your host, Andy Stevenson.
Your co-host, Liam Simcox.
And your guest, Joe Price.
Yes! Joe's
Straight in
just
again.
got it nailed.
I'd say special guest, but yeah, okay, we'll take it.
Absolutely
We'll
nailed.
take it. We'll take it.
Boom. You know, we instantly make it unprofessional when we congratulate ourselves, don't you?
Yeah.
Saying our own names.
Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah, I learned to do that when I was 8 months old, and I'm still rocking it now.
I got it right.
We've just listened on the Anger Management Podcast to the amazing Gav Ball with his song "Walking in the New York Snow," and again, that was just a demo that Gav has done. And we've played that because it was a song that my recently passed friend Simon loved. Simon and Gav were very, very close friends for almost 40 years. And Gav, What a song! What a song, mate! You know I love your music. It was, and I know that Gav will take this as high praise. It felt like an Oasis B-side to me.
It was great.
Absolutely fantastic, mate. Felt like I needed a big J on
Yeah,
while
yeah.
I was listening to it. I'll be honest.
I was saying it's like driving in the dark in the rain, just like cruising, and this music's playing, and it just
Yeah.
making
Class.
me feel uplifting.
really
So absolutely brilliant, Gav, as always. I didn't expect any less, to be perfectly
Beautiful.
frank. We're going to move back to sport here on episode 7, season 2 of the Anger Management Podcast. We have got our special guest, Joe Price, who is a big sport nut, aren't you, Joe?
Sport. Yep,
I
all
think
sport
All
as much
sport
as you
kind
can.
of guy.
right now.
I wanted very, very quickly to start on the goings on again in Russia. I know it's the big talk of the world, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we wanted to put a bit of a sports slant on it and talk about the different governing bodies of various sports, various committees around the globe, and what they've done, what they haven't done, and what we think and what you, our listeners, think to what's been going on in the sporting world regarding the Russia and Ukraine conflict. For me, I think most sporting bodies have acted pretty quickly, really, in a way that I was quite pleased about. The one that did rankle me for a week or so was the I think it was the Paralympic Committee wouldn't.
And hard, didn't
Yeah,
they?
the ummed and ahed about it. And of all people, I thought the Paralympic Committee would be like, well, hang on a minute, we
clued on.
yeah, we can't have this going on. They did come around eventually. Joe, as regards, we'll start with football. As regards FIFA, UEFA, what are your thoughts on what's happened?
Well, I mean, I think it was FIFA. Now you've mentioned UEFA, but I think it was FIFA. And how cowardly it can be sometimes, without being a bit brutal, that there's a lot of mention throughout the podcast, obviously, about, woke and millennials and people trying to constantly never tread on eggshells, but always tread on eggshells at the same time. It's like that fine line of stop bullshitting, just do one or the other.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we don't
Stop
want to
being
upset
a
Russia.
fucking fence sitter.
Exactly, and just like
Just
I
do what you want.
understand sometimes you've got to understand the other side of the coin. That's fine. Not all Russian people are bad. I imagine 90% of the Russian people are fucking
Yeah, yeah,
great.
Say
exactly.
same as any nation.
Yeah, yeah.
Most folk are
Exactly.
sound, but there's a few twats. Unfortunately, one of them's in charge, but we won't go there yet.
Mental. But I appreciate that they've got to punish him. That's fair enough. But it's like they said that they can't compete as Russia and wear the colours or the flag or, any mention of it, but can still compete. And it just completely defeats the
Well,
Yeah,
they're still
but it's the
Russians,
same.
aren't they?
Well,
They're
yeah,
still
do you know what I mean?
Russian.
Like,
Yeah.
It's like you can't go by your name, but you can be Sandrew Avenson.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, I know
Yeah.
exactly who you are and what you're doing. Like, what the fucking hell is the
But
point
then again,
of trying
if
to punish me?
if they'd won a medal, Joe, and they stand on podium, do they what flag would they hold? What
Yeah,
flag would
well,
come down? What anthem would
Hollaback
play?
girl comes on. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, what?
Peter fucking Andre.
Does it? Yeah. It's like, what's going on? And it's just to the point where you think, like, you've just got to. I mean, and this is, I suppose, I know there's more intelligent people than me that will definitely know the goings and comings of everything that happens politically, sport-wise, whatever. But if you want to starve something, you cut it off from everything completely, don't you? And that's the only way you stop its growth. You stop its, everything.
You can't do it in dribs and drabs.
No, of
can
course
you?
not.
No, you can't.
And I personally think that Russia as a competitive nation should simply be banned from absolutely everything. Everything.
But it's not like
Absolutely
they cheat
everything
either,
that's
is
going.
it? So there's always that alongside all the crap,
Well, yeah,
the war crimes.
yeah,
rather.
they love. I mean, they love getting the drugs in their athletes. Don't they?
Oh,
let's
God.
be honest about it. I don't think this is going to be broadcast in Russia, by the way. Like,
No.
we might possibly be barred.
Assassinated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I truly do believe that sport is a language that brings billions of us across the world
Yeah, of
together.
course.
I really do, and I've always felt that way about sport. It's very much like music. I think those are the two languages that anyone can understand. Really, competitive sport and music. And I believe that the Russians have to pay for. And don't get me wrong, I also understand that there are two sides to every story. I can understand a lot of the reasons why Vladimir Putin's been pissed off and he's done what he's done. I get. I don't agree with it, but I get why he's done it.
Yeah.
Okay, but a stand has to be taken, and I feel that the sporting world is one of the most influential worlds that there is.
Yeah.
And I feel that Russian athletes don't want to be missing out on their sports. Are you telling me the Russian national football team don't want to be playing in the World Cup or the Euros or whatever it may be? And the only way to ever get change is for the normal people, the working class people. I know footballers aren't really working class, but they still go to work and do a job, right? I know they get paid a lot of money, but they're still working class blokes at the end of the day, right? They want to compete,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
They don't want to be bored. And the only way that change is made is when the people go, right, enough's enough.
Yeah.
Not having any more of this bullshit,
Yeah.
right? We want to fucking be Russian athletes. We want to represent our country. And let's be brutally honest. Russia is a great traditional powerhouse of a country, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot different to the Western world, but it is a powerhouse of a country, especially in the sporting world. People watching on YouTube can see right here that I'm a huge ice hockey fan. I've got my Ottawa Senators jersey on right now. And Russia is a massive ice hockey country, second only to Canada, okay? And they want to be playing in the Olympics. They want to be playing in the World Championships. They want to be playing in the NHL.
Yeah.
I feel incredibly bad for the Russian guys who are in the NHL playing at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, what must they be thinking about what's going on? And I truly believe, guys, that sport can have a lot to do with a resolution for this conflict. I've read today that the Russians have come out and said, "Oh well, we're not bothered. We don't want to be in the Champions League and that. We don't want to be in the European Championships." And it's like, well, that's what you going to do? You're going to form your own tournament with Iran, North Korea, Syria, India.
Everyone's going to watch that.
No offense, right? If you're from any of them countries and you're listening to the podcast, this isn't a diss to you as an individual, but your countries are wank, right? Your countries are wank.
We don't pull any punches on this podcast.
So get yourselves sorted. Rise up against your shit. I mean, our leaders are a pain in the arse. At least we can vote the fuckers out.
Yeah, that's
right?
true, yeah.
But you guys have got to rise up against these twats, right? And sport is a great way to do it. I truly believe that.
Yeah, and I don't believe as well that, like, Russian, sports personalities should be punished for one man's ludicrous, ideas and stuff like that. Like, say, if you're, I don't know, a Russian swimmer or a Russian tennis player or a Russian ice hockey player, and you've done nothing wrong, you've been by book all your life, you've not done anything wrong in your life, and then for whatever reason, the entire world, has just turned around and said, no, I don't want to, you can't be a swimmer or you can't be an ice hockey player.
Yeah.
Through no fault of your own.
Yeah.
I feel for those kinds of people, but going back to your earlier point, guys, I can see it from both sides. It's a difficult one, if I'm honest. In my opinion.
And where would you stand, Joe? If you had to say, do you think it's right that Russia are excluded from world sport at the moment, or are you a fence sitter like Liam here?
I'm not a fence sitter.
100%.
on the fence.
I agree. Well, it was very fence sitting. You had a splinter in your arse there.
Oh, shit, sorry.
Along with the piles, I think.
Oof. That's another pile.
Piles. Now we've got piles plural now, Liam.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, it's been a long few hours for you anyway.
I know.
We've got him a nice comfy chair, don't worry.
But in
Look
regards
after
to
me.
it all, I think that I suppose they have to be banned because you look at the ties through it all, like the Gazprom stuff that is pretty sure it's Abramovich's. It's his business, isn't it? It's where he's making his money or ties with, regardless, whatever.
Might be dead soon. Now he's been poisoned.
Oh God, he wanted a
Fucking
slice of apple
hell.
pie and it had a bit of a
That's
lumpy bit.
it.
And he's buggered now. He's gone. But no, I think because there's like so many financial gains to it all, and I also think, like you said, how universal language of sport, music, and things like that is. If after the World Cup in Russia, which was going to be awful, but was actually, I don't know if it was just because we had a pretty overhyped time as a nation, and how we did results-wise, but I think if you've gone over there and something's gone so well and all of a sudden you'll never get these opportunities again now.
Yeah.
You're completely wiped off the slate of both historically, oh, you did a good tournament. Doesn't matter. You've been an arsehole. You're invading another fucking country.
okay.
You're screwed.
Yeah.
So personally, I don't sit on the fence with it. Excuse me. I think basically, act like an arsehole, you get treated like one. And that's exactly what should happen to him.
Yeah.
Totally.
Fair
agree.
enough.
We're going to stay on sport with another one that really gets my goat. This isn't anywhere near.
We should have this on a T-shirt.
This isn't anywhere near as important
Really
as
gets
the whole Russian conflict.
Conflict.
But it's something that does irritate me. It's sports people. I don't actually know of any sports women who've done this, but sportsmen anyway, who take indefinite breaks from the game.
Yeah.
Okay? They take indefinite breaks to, I don't know, work on the mental health.
Which,
okay?
yeah, I get it.
Spend time with the family,
Yeah.
right? What fucks me off about it, right, is I can't do that. I can't.
okay.
Liam, the company you work for,
Yeah.
you can't ring your boss and
Yeah.
go, "Hiya, mate. I'm feeling a bit fucked in the head, so
depressed.
I'm going to take an indefinite break for 6 months. All right, I'll see you later." Right? No.
No, it won't
No.
work. No, it wouldn't.
It
I
wouldn't
get it.
wash, would it?
No,
it
not at
would
all,
not
not at
fucking
all.
wash at all. So it pisses me off. So imagine you're a season ticket holder of. I'm going to use Alex Hales, the cricketer, as an example. I know you guys aren't cricket people. I need Richie Sumnall here so I can bounce some cricket off him. Alex Hales, England cricketer, international cricketer, plays for. Do you know, I can't remember his county, whoever it is, Surrey or whoever he plays for. A couple of weeks ago, he announced he was taking an indefinite break from cricket to work on his mental health and spend time with his family, blah, blah, blah. Now, if you were a season ticket holder for his county, right, and you had bought that season ticket to watch him play, and he basically now went, yeah, I'm feeling a bit rough, so I'm not going to play.
Yeah.
For me, that's shit.
But
right?
sure.
Wait
yeah,
till
go
the
on.
end of the season and get some recuperation.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
you,
I'll have
so,
a season
so
out, sort
any
of.
of
Yeah,
us,
yeah, I
any
get
of
that.
us three here, right? If you need time to work on, my mental health is fucked at the moment. I'll be honest with you guys. I've been having a rough time of it, right? But you know what? Tomorrow I got to pack my car up, drive to Crewe, and play a show for 3 hours in front of fucking 200 people.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Like,
I can't go. I'm taking an indefinite break because I feel a bit shit. Right? I can't do that. So why can professional sportsmen do that? Ben Stokes, I'm sure you guys know who Ben Stokes is, right? Even though you're not cricket fans, you know who Ben Stokes is. Ben Stokes did the same thing last year. I sort of understand with Stokes because he'd been injured. He'd had a bad broken finger, I think it was. So he took a break away from the game. But you read about sports people all the time taking breaks. Pretty much just because they feel a bit shit.
Yeah.
Right? And I aren't on board with that at all. I still have to get up and go to fucking work. Right? You do, Liam.
Yeah, exactly.
You do, Joe. You can't ring Bet365. Right? Here's a perfect example. Bet365 owns Stoke City Football Club. Give me a Stoke City footballer.
Any.
Any.
You can have Tyrese Campbell.
Tyrese Campbell comes into training tomorrow and says to the gaffer, I'm taking an indefinite break for 3 months because I just feel a bit shit.
Yeah, as
Right.
easy as that. As easy
and
as
and
that.
off he toddles on full pay on his fucking 60 grand a week, right? You go to Bet365, the same company. Remember, this is the same company, right?
Yeah.
You're working for the same company as Tyrese Campbell,
And
right?
you say exactly the
You
same
go
thing.
to work tomorrow,
Yeah.
Joe, and say, I was on the anger management podcast last night and I'm feeling a bit
They've worn me down.
It's
Great bunch
just-
of twats.
It's battered me and I need to take an indefinite break, right? Your boss would say, get your fucking desk, Joe, and stop being a prick.
Yeah.
Right? That's what would happen.
Yeah, at
right?
best you'll get 2 weeks and then need a doctor's note.
Well, there you go. You might
Yeah.
get 2 weeks off on reduced pay, right? Or a sick note, right? And then they say, right, get back to your job, else you're off.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, how can that possibly be fucking right and fair? Please tell me.
Oh.
Do you guys think that is just professional sports people tacking fucking piss, right? Or is that something genuine that you think should be?
Well, like you say, in Joe's circumstances, his boss could turn around and say the two words that I hate with a passion: "Man up."
Well,
Oh.
man
Really?
up, yeah, man
Are you
up,
fucking
man
serious?
up, there we
Imagine
go.
if Tyrese Campbell, again, as this is
But
an
again,
example.
that wouldn't happen
Exactly,
to Tyrese
exactly.
Campbell. Liam.
That's just what I'm saying. And like without sounding like an arsehole, when's that stopped me? Let's be honest. Isn't that the career path that they choose. Doesn't that come with the territory of being a professional athlete and being in the public eye?
And we're huge proponents of mental health on this podcast. Me and Liam, we both struggled with things. Liam, you had a bit of a do like a couple of years ago in the middle of all the lockdown and all that kind of jazz. And I know full well that you couldn't just take an indefinite break for 3 months.
No, of course not.
Liam was at the studio recording the radio show, and then at work at 9 o'clock. You were still up bloody Yorkshire, working up Yorkshire.
I was still working Yorkshire.
He'd come in, work in the studio, and then he'd be off at 7 o'clock in the morning, go up bloody Yorkshire. There was no talk of need an indefinite break.
Yeah, but
there was none of that bullshit.
Exactly. And I can imagine if I did say that, my boss would just look at me like I'm a fucking twat and be like, like you say,
well, they'd laugh at you.
Or even if you said that to your boss in confidence, you can guarantee if you would have left that office, he's going to all his mates. I've just had Liam in here. Yeah. He wants fucking indefinite leave. Is he having a fucking laugh?
Yeah.
Where's his P45?
You'll get his P45.
Sharon, where's his P45? Fuck him off.
It's in the filing cabinet. Get it out now.
Fuck him off. Yeah, and it's fucking ridiculous.
Joe, thoughts?
In regards to a sporting sense, and this is really selfish and not undermining mental health whatsoever, but I think any indefinite break can sometimes get you salivating for an ultimate comeback. So I don't necessarily mind them. In regards to, like, if you think, well, Tyson, we mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's gone away, and quite visually, you could see that he was struggling. Like the pair of you, my old man suffered with it. We've all had issues regarding mental health. It's just one of them things that sadly is as common as
I think every single human being on the planet deals with it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Well, not when you're a kid. But when you're a kid, life's fucking awesome.
Not caring
and
the
then
world.
Bang, pubes start growing and it all falls to shit.
Unless you're Eric Clapton, you make money on
it.
it.
Yeah, well, there we go.
But I think it's
watch
like,
from the beginning if you didn't get that joke.
I think it's a difficult one because I do think that they put the pressure on it. Like, it's not so much indefinite break or mental health, but remember when Carragher spat on that car?
Oh God,
it sounds
yeah.
ridiculous, but like I understand you're a human being and you don't need someone constantly telling you, you're a scouse this and all that. But what does he think's going to happen? I'll be absolutely fine. No one knows who I am. I'll be sound. What, the guy's on every Monday night with Gary Neville, who's quite famous as well.
Yeah.
You're gobbing on a car, mate. But in regards to mental health, I agree with you. I think that unless you're in high places, that as an example, it almost comes back to the topic of earlier of like, sort of hollow attempts of looking supportive. By them going, oh, Tyrese Campbell or this sports star, yeah, you take the indefinite break and we'll support you. And everyone goes, oh, well, they really care about mental health. Probably don't care about mental health. They care about
waving the flag.
Yeah.
They don't care about waving that Ukraine flag. That's what
don't you think it comes back to, like we were saying earlier, about hollow gestures? How many times have you seen, like, wearing T-shirts like, oh, we stand with Tyrese Campbell or wherever?
We wear T-shirts with, it's just bullshit. But it does, this topic does bring me on a little bit to a story I wanted Joe to tell. This is one of the first things I knew about you, Joe, when we first met, and you disappeared for a while. Again,
twice.
I will twice. Yeah. I will reiterate that Joe is one of the best footballers I've had the privilege of playing, and you got a
scholarship to America,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about what happened there, Joe, because I'm sure this must have affected you mentally as well as physically. I saw the physical injury, and I'm sure it must have taken its toll on you in a mental capacity as well after what happened.
And I mean, looking back now, the experience was great. Started off, obviously, the opportunity to go and try and get a scholarship, so I went and did some trials and stuff at one was it like the Sheffield United Academy. This was 10 years ago, let's say now, stuff like this.
We'll give that a ding because somebody nearly jizzed in his pants there.
Oh, dear.
I'm a blade.
It was awful.
All right.
Just like Sheffield United.
Pretty much.
But, I mean, like Ben, my brother, mentioned earlier, he'd take me and we'd do all these trials and stuff. And they went dead well and played well and got a decent offer to go out to somewhere in Canton in Missouri, called the Stockton College, it was called. And in regards to the people there, they were absolutely class, and you met all sorts of people. These South American lads, sounds stereotypical, juggling the ball in the corner, shirts off in the sun.
It up.
Yeah, got me stood in the middle with a big beard and a shaved head, just going, "I'll kick you and I'll pass it sideways 5 yards, and that'll be fine with me."
Why is there no mud on this pitch?
Yeah, I thought I can't slide on here, I'll lose on my leg. But nevertheless, went out there and everything went great. Doing all these like the physical testing and stuff, and it was going well. And I got on with all the lads dead well. And I was rooming with this Canadian goalkeeper, a guy called Nick Luciani, who was
What a name.
yeah. And I tell you what,
That is a proper name.
It is, isn't
and
it?
he looked like a keeper. He was a big boy, big hands. And I remember while I was injured, actually, I don't know if he'll listen to this or not, but I'll try and remind him. But he, his mum made him a massive bag of cookies before he'd come. Cookies, sorry, Steve.
Cookies, mate.
Yeah.
Cookies round here.
And I was sat in this bed. We'll get to the proper bit of the story in a minute, but I remember sitting injured and hobbling over to nick all these cookies while he was out training, thinking, these are fucking... And what's she putting in these? I was like, lace with
Crack.
summit. Yeah, I can't feel my ankle, but I can see a lot of other stuff.
Crack cookies.
Crack cookies, yeah. Big in Canada.
Crookies.
Yeah, crookies. Yeah.
I'll have a box of crookies, please, mate.
Can I have a dozen?
But
Half a dozen crookies.
imagine.
Sorry,
They
Joe.
made
go on.
all my
No,
teeth
it's all right.
fall
Now,
out.
now I'm just thinking, I see both the positive and the negative of the crookie, but we can build on this.
There we go.
And it so I got there a couple of weeks early, like the first time out, and then the very first day of like competitive training, seeing men from the boys who could play, who couldn't,
Yeah.
and it was literally, I think, maybe 30 seconds into the first little trial match, balls come in. I mean, in my head, I've already thought that I'm taking this little touch on the outside of my foot. I've beat my man around the corner. Probably wouldn't have gone like that, but that's how it goes in your head.
Yeah.
And I've taken it, and my ankles literally just folded on me.
Oh,
I don't know if it was, and I mean, you can think about anything. I don't know if it was just the left foot was too slow and it was shit footwork from me. Don't know if black
Bit
boots,
of a rut.
black boots on a hot pitch, if the friction or anything like that, and it's just because your feet were cooking in that heat. Cooking, it was horrible.
Or cooking, as we
Or
say around
cooking,
here.
yeah, we'll translate that.
I knew I bent.
And my ankle just blew up, and it's typically as you do, like, it might just be, I don't know if we're English and we do it, or, but you're like, my old man would say, get up, just stamp it out, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So got up, tried to stamp it, and I went down like a sack of shit again.
Oh,
And I mean, I showed you the picture, didn't I?
Yeah.
I mean, my ankle was fucking out,
It
and my
was
feet were
massive.
blue,
like a
and,
balloon, weren't it?
and I couldn't do anything. And I mean, one part of this, obviously, and I went home a couple of weeks after. I had some rehab and stuff, and everyone was great, and all the lads come around me, and they were brill. But I just thought, I can't be here and be injured, because I don't think I played for at least 6 months, and that was probably too soon. And you think, I'm so far away from home. I mean, there was a
The
scholarship.
one thing you're there for
Oh,
is
God,
to play
fucking hell.
football, and you can't do it.
You could have let me. You could have paid me to have stayed there and not played football, and I would have been like, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah.
I need to be playing. For again, we went on about it, but mental health and stuff. God, if I went for football and exercise, I'd be fucked.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, obviously, it leads me on to the point of Dad was ill, and so by coming back, it meant that it gave us the opportunity to obviously understand how ill Dad actually was, and then my brother and my sister Beth and Ben. Who were brilliant through it all as well. I probably come back in October, maybe September time. I'd been out there about 6 weeks. Ankle was fucked, semi getting better, but I couldn't play any football. And then Dad, we found out he got cancer.
Fucking hell.
So within it was a dead short period, and I mean, not to be like, oh, of course it was traumatic, but I just can't think back to that time of like the time frames. But it must have been a week, 10 days from being told he's not going to get any better to him dying. And we stayed with him in the house and stuff, and it was great in the sense that we'd always said, to be fair, if he was going to die sort of thing or needed looking after, us three always said, we're not trying to be heroes, but we'll look after him. He wiped our arse. We didn't necessarily wipe his arse. Although, quick funny story.
And he was the Ferdinand's #1 fan.
He was.
He was, like you said earlier, he was a season ticket holder down the
Totally
wreck.
season ticket holder. And I mean, he loved it. He loved Ging. Ging came and saw him the day before he died, and they went on about how I wore shit football boots because I did at the time because they were green. And my dad asked Ging, actually, like I say, it's 24 hours before less than 24 hours before he died, and he was like, who have you got tomorrow? My dad told Ging that, oh, you'll lose to them tomorrow. Until he passed away, me and Ben, because my little sister, we took sort of shifts look after him.
If I remember rightly, Ben played.
I played
Did you
as well.
play as well? I remember. I can remember Ben playing, but I couldn't remember you playing. But I remember you both coming down. You were late coming down
Yeah.
because obviously everything
yeah,
that had
yeah.
gone on, and you turned up. But they literally turned up like half an hour after the dad had passed away
Fucking
and
hell.
played.
And I think, to be honest, though, we go back onto, I know it's intertwining topics and things, but mental health wise, I think by playing, although we were like, it was weird, we were sobbing like every 5 minutes just randomly. It was just like, what the fuck's gone on this
Yeah,
morning?
yeah.
But by doing it, we were almost like, well, this is exactly what Dad had wanted.
What
We
he'd
went
want
on.
you to
Yeah,
do, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we beat Teen Albion. I think it was Teen Albion. But we beat them 1-0.
Beat 1-0. I played.
Yeah.
I played. That was my last game. I played in
And
that
it was,
game.
we weren't really meant to win. I don't think, 'cause they weren't a bad side at the time.
They
Still
won.
now.
They won the league that year. That was a cup game. We started with a cup game.
It was
and
one
we
of the
beat
few
them
they'd
1-0.
lost as well,
Yeah.
wasn't it? And I just remember after hugging Ben, but being like it's exactly what he would have wanted us to do.
Absolutely, mate.
So then, I
That for
mean,
your dad.
a year on comes, and I've got the opportunity to go back exactly the same college and go and play again. Throughout, like my dad being ill, I should mention that I'd met my partner I'm still with now. Alex,
Poor girl.
call her Aggie. Yeah, she hates football now. God bless her.
Shout out, Aggie.
Yeah, Aggie's mint, and she helped look after Dad, not physically, but in the sense that she'd come round while we looked after him. Just give me a kiss, make a brew, and then go and say, "I'm here if you need me." And you think, fucking fair play to you. Got
Yeah,
some
Top
tops
bird,
on you.
mate. Top bird.
And but the next year came on, and obviously I've been seeing Aggie and family and friends, and it was a bit weird, sort of a year on from Dad passing. And I mean, I went out there, and I mean, there's like minute sort of logistical problems when I was out there. But long story short, I think it was a big case of panic. So like Mum being ill, or what if Ben or Beth need me and stuff like that. And I was all of a sudden I was out there, and I mean I made some excuses.
Well, you'd
up to
been
come home, but-
traumatized, Joe. You'd been traumatized by what
100%,
you'd been
yeah.
through with the injury and the passing of your old man. You've been traumatized, and I think a lot of people would probably feel the same, being basically the other side
Yeah,
of the
exactly,
world
yeah.
after something so traumatic had happened to your family.
You're only human at the end of the day, aren't you?
It's natural to,
And
to
yeah,
be
of
Plus,
course,
worried.
it's so foreign, though, isn't it? You're a bit
Yeah.
like, and I mean, a friend of mine, he always said, you know, it must be a weird one for you, because my dad was the sort of man that if I had to face 100 blokes with one person beside me, my old man was the one that I'd just go, well, I'll just stand back and you can fucking have him, sort of thing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
He was a tough old boy, and like I say, I think it was a case of panic at the time, to be honest. Like I say, there was a few minute things over there that could have been quite easily solved, and I was just in a position that I thought, I panicked. I was like, you know, say Mum got severely ill or something like that, and I just thought, shit, I'd need to be back home. Or, and it's funny because Ben and Beth actually turned out to be bigger points of stability in a rock than I thought I was to them. Do you know what I mean? Where I was going, well, I need to be back in case they need me.
Was it like constantly ticking over in your mind all the time, as though like you can't relax, you can't do the things you enjoy?
Even, I mean, to be quite honest, even now, without getting too sort of morbid, I know it's a tough time for yourself, so it's perhaps quite, you know, apt in a sad way, but I mean, even now, every day will be, with every hour I'll think about my dad.
Yeah.
And this is 2016. He's
Yeah.
my best friend. I've got on my thigh, I've got a tattoo from me knee up of me and my dad when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So, and I think the difficulty is that it was only until last year I went and got a bit of counselling and spoke to someone about it. But I think it's the case of Ben and Beth was sort of really human about it, and I was really stupid about it in the sense that, of course, they would have been tough, but they were tough in the rights of, I'm upset about my dad dying, and I wasn't playing a very good part of going, well, you know, I'll be absolutely fine, I'll sort it.
Yeah.
Because I was just fucking broken as much as they were, but they were organically letting it go. So no, to be fair, the America trip to get back on track was consumed by loss, injury, but
Maybe it was a case of a great thing at the wrong time.
oh yeah,
Joe.
and I said this again I went and watched the England game on Saturday, and we were chatting about this on the way down on the train. And if Dad hadn't have died, I think I'd have stayed there without a doubt, obviously. And I also think if I hadn't have felt like it was too late a year later, I'd have perhaps gone back. And I know I tried to go out a year later after he died and it was still an issue, but I think a bit more growth and I'd have been fine. But what have I gained from it? I can sit here and talk about the loss, which is obvious, which is Dad and the lack of opportunity to go out and play in the States. But I've built you build another life here
you
now,
do.
and it's
Yeah,
you know,
close, mate.
and I
Close.
think, like I say, I've got no regrets. I feel initially felt like I'd let myself down, sort of thing, by not staying out there. Because I mean, I can play football, and I probably would have done really, really well in that environment. But I think for how I felt at the time, with the panic over needing to be back for family, like you say, you know, thinking Ben and Beth would need me here, and even Aggie was waiting for me at home and stuff like that. Without being selfish, none of them could have asked me to have come home, and I would have come home without being mean. But I just needed to come home because I think it come to a point where I realised that
You've got
like
to
you
do
say-
it for yourself, haven't you?
Yeah.
You have to do the things in life which bring you your peace of mind.
Yeah, of course.
And sometimes you spend a lot of your life convincing yourself that might be, for example, going to play football in the States. But then something happens and you realise, actually, what I want from my life is to be with my family
yeah.
and surrounded by the people and I want to build a life there. And this is the kind of thing that happens. But all in all, Ben, it sounds Ben. All in all, Joe, Ben and Joe. It sounds like a great adventure
Yeah, of
that
course.
has made you into the person that you are today.
100%.
Yeah.
And you can't put a price on
It's a
that.
fantastic way
you
to
can't
look
put
at
a
it.
Joe price on
Oh,
that.
ding
yeah,
that
it.
fucking bell.
I'm
You can
here
have
all
it,
week,
yeah.
ladies and
Yeah.
gents.
Awful.
Anyway, we're going to move
Yeah.
on to our third song of the evening. This, again, I'm keeping the theme going for my late, great friend, Simon Clulo. And I have a specific memory of this song regarding Simon. This is a song by my first band when I was a teenager. The band is called Orchard. In the band was Mark Cottrell, who you've already heard. Mark and Simon did the first song. And Mark was the guitarist in my band. And I wrote this song at the age of 15. I think 15, maybe just 16. And the first person I played this song to was Simon, right? And I used to have a caravan on the side of my mum's house down in Cheadle. And Simon came round mine for I think we were having a tinny or a bifter or whatever it was you do at that age. And he'd come round because he had a couple of songs he wanted to show me, and I'd written this song. And the song's called The Times We Had. And I'd wrote the song from a perspective of being an older person and looking back on my life and looking back at my friendships. And I never thought that I would have to play it in this circumstance that I'm going to play it tonight. But I played it to Simon, who was the first person to hear it. Simon wasn't in my band at that time. We were in bands together later on, but he wasn't in this band. But Simon used to play a lot with us on the same bill. He'd open up for us, and we'd open for him, and so we were always together, always writing. And I played this song to him, and he said to me that he thought that was the greatest song he'd ever heard, right? It's not the greatest song that's ever been heard. But at that time, when we're 15, he told me that he thought it was absolutely amazing. And to me, that really, from a peer like that, like Simon, that really validated the song to me. And I took that song to my band, to Orchard, and we learnt it, and it became a main staple track that we used to play at every gig, and we actually recorded. So I'm going to play the demo version of it from, I think it was recorded at the end of 1995, beginning of 1996. So I would have been 15 around about that time. And the song is called The Times We Had, and this is by my first band, Orchard. Let's have a listen. Where have you gone to stay? I wonder why I miss you. Where have you gone to play? I wonder when I'll see you. And you don't even care. So I thought Welcome back to the Anger Management Podcast. You're listening to Andy Stevenson.
Me, Liam Subcox.
And me, Joe Price.
There we
There we
go.
go.
It's smooth as butter.
There we go,
Lads.
Matt.
Smooth
Take
as
note.
butter. We have just listened, and you have just listened to the mighty Orchard from 1995 or 96. I can't actually remember. That was my first band, so I know some of you were having a little giggle at the cheesiness.
That was great.
Who did you say it was?
Like busted.
Like busted. But I was 15 at the time, and some of the other lads in my band were 14 years old. So I'm actually quite proud of that stuff.
Yeah, it was good, that.
And like I say, I had a very specific memory of the first time I played that song to anybody, and it was my beautiful, late and great friend Simon Clulow. We are going to have another song from Simon before we finish the podcast tonight. So please keep on listening and check out Simon. He is in all the usual places. If you would like to get your music on to the Anger Management Podcast so we can rip it a new one. No, we don't do that. Do we? We're nice. You can get in touch at the following places, Liam.
Yes, you can find us on Facebook, TikTok, and on Instagram, Anger Management Studios, or you can find us on Twitter at Anger Manage Pod. Like I say, guys, just make sure you're on the rights to your music. Don't send us any covers, and just send us a bit of blurb, because we do like a bit of blurb, don't we, Andy? We are partial to a bit of blurb.
I love a little bit of blurb, I'll be honest with you. Absolutely love it. Can't beat some blurb.
It's like poking out your jeans, yeah.
Sorry.
I love a bit of blurb.
Proper bit of blurb. So, as you regular listeners know, we do have a regular Graham poll.
I don't know what you're doing then.
Graham poll.
Regular.
Now, most guests that we have on don't understand what a Graham is.
No.
Right? They don't understand a Graham. Matt did last week because he's a big football
Well-
fan. And Joe, you obviously
Graham
know who
Poll.
Graham Poll
The man
is.
in the middle.
Right? This silly little thing started on the radio a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Where we just called we would get people to phone in and vote in live, and it would always be called
Yeah.
a Graham, didn't it?
Yeah, and
we
if-
had Graham and we had Jurgen Klopp on the
Jurgen
wall.
Klopp.
Jurgen Klopp used
Telling
to tell
us
us
it's time
to go.
when it was time for the
God.
news.
Yeah.
Jurgen would tell us.
But even though you're no longer at the radio station, we still say Graham Poll in your memory.
There it
so
is,
still
there
keep
it
it
is.
alive. Got to
That-
keep it going.
That's the legacy that I've left
left
at the radio
behind.
station. So our Graham last week was. Did we have two? I
we
think
had two,
didn't
yes.
we, Liam?
So your first Graham Poll was which is better? Where we were simply asking which is better, pets or people. And before I reveal, I'll come to you guys first.
Well, my answer was absolutely pets, 100%. I was in the throes of mourning from having to have my much beloved dog put down at the start of the year, so I was still pretty upset. But even though I'm not as upset anymore, I'd still much prefer pets to people. Sorry, listeners, unless you're a dog. Unless your owners have gone out, left the radio on, right, and you're a dog listening to this podcast, then I'm on your side. Joe,
Yeah, dogs.
pets for you as well, mate.
Well, yeah, I went dog straight away. There, I got a little dog, little mini sausage dog called
Oh,
Roger.
nice,
Yes.
cute.
Yeah, licensed to kill. He's a mad little bastard.
Vicious.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, pets aren't arseholes unless they're cats, and then it's a funny arsehole, isn't it? Who's just randomly clawing at a child or something. Which I
They
mean,
can be sods, cats can, but dogs particularly I love.
yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
Liam, what was your answer? I can't even
I was
remember.
pets, hands down.
Were you pets?
Like, say, because we were discussing pets in the last episode and like what we got brought up with and animals and all that sort of thing. And you're a big animal lover as well, aren't you, Andy? Working on a farm and stuff like that from
exactly.
time to time.
And
so.
a lot of we discussed this on the last podcast, but a lot of people seem to think that farmers or anyone involved in farming dislike animals, right? Because at the end of the day, we use animals to make a profit,
Yeah.
and we're not. It couldn't be further from the truth. 99.9% of farmers love animals. We work with them every day. They become our friends almost. But we're also pragmatic about it, and sometimes these animals have to go to the knacker's yard.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? That's how it works. It's the circle of life, and as long as animals are treated humanely, which on most British farms they are, that never mind the panorama bullshit that you watch. Most farms and most animals are treated well in Britain. We're not some weird battery farming South American country. It doesn't work like that. So again, take your BBC bullshit and stick it up your arse and do your
There we go.
do your actual research.
Simple as that. And
Ooh, I like that one.
I know. That was a nice little rant there.
Thanks,
I like it. Well, I can reveal with 75% of the vote, our listeners prefer pets
Yes.
over people.
Get in.
100%.
Get in. Listeners, you are right.
Good work.
25% of you are wrong. Just saying.
There we go. And we did have a second Graham
Oh,
poll.
yeah, we did.
We were discussing what's our favourite animal. And between the three of us, Andy, you went for a cow. Matt went for a silverback gorilla. And me, I went for an elephant. And with 67% of the vote, elephant has come out on top.
Liam wins.
Followed second place by a silverback gorilla.
Oh, no. How can
with-
people
with-
not love cows?
With 33%, which unfortunately, with no votes whatsoever, cow is in last place.
I can't believe nobody loves cows.
I'm surprised at that, I'll be honest.
What's wrong with cows?
They're amazing creatures, mate. Honestly,
Yeah, I like-
amazing.
I like
creatures.
a cow.
I love cows. They're absolutely ace. So we're going to have another Graham poll this week. But first, we're going to have a little topic
Yes.
which will lead us into our Graham poll. We're going to keep on sport because we have got our special guest, Joe Price, who is a sport monger.
Aficionado.
A sport monger, Joe Price.
Monger.
So we're going to keep on the old sport theme. And Joe, you wanted to discuss the Premier League, and very specifically, would you rather play for Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola?
Yeah, and I mean, I want to ask it as well, simply because I'm not too sure I have a preference. I might side with one.
I do.
I might side with one slightly, but I mean, I was having a little nosy earlier on, and it says a lot that they're both obviously. I mean, I wasn't looking at trophies necessarily because it's very hard. I know people have opinions on Pep winning a lot of Bayern Munich, perhaps, or very dominant Barca side in an era where the real threat was a negative Mourinho side that still won stuff, to be fair, in Spain. But against each other, they've both got 9 wins against each other and I think 4 draws, something along them lines. So they haven't necessarily topped each other.
Okay.
So one style doesn't necessarily have to be better than the other when it comes to them guys. I think...
Personally,
Go on, hit me with it.
Personally speaking, right, if you had the choice to go and play for Liverpool or Manchester City, not the clubs, whoever the clubs are, but they are the managers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it might be Real Madrid and Barcelona. It might
Yeah.
be Leeds or Sheffield United. Right. Who would you, as a footballer, as a good footballer and a knowledgeable footballer, who would you go and play for and why, Joe?
I'd go and play for Pep. I think earlier, without saying on the fence, but I'll elaborate. The man I'd play for would be Klopp, but the manager would be Pep. Simply
Okay.
because I think, although it's very, very specific and really broken down, and perhaps maybe too fine-toothed in regards to Pep's comb, which is ironically bald, isn't he? But nevertheless,
Best way.
you pull it off, Steve. don't
Thanks, mate.
worry. But I just think, like, I'm going to show off here. I've read a book about this.
Hey, hey, oh.
I can read.
Oh, he's getting his sports degree out here, isn't he?
What a joke of a degree. Nevertheless.
I wish I'd have done fucking maths.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I was just thinking, I just spoke about football and fighting for 3 years.
Or drama.
Nevertheless, I think looking at like how Pep, how the speed in which that he'll overload areas. This is more Premier League Man City. He has players in the half spaces, so they'll sit between, let's say, a winger sits between the full back in the centre half. I know this is probably quite obvious to a lot of football fans and coaches anyway, it is, but it's the way in which they will constantly try and overload the sides of the pitches and fill these little areas that are not just thought about like, I want you here, just play in that gap, you'll be fine. It's at the time and place in which the ball is played. Do you know what I mean? You've got overlaps at specific times, and although it sounds really anal and perhaps really broad, I really like the fact that he's thought about absolutely everything. The issue that I have with it is that it's not done off emotion and joy. It's done off almost science and practice, I guess, which makes me think that although I think he'd establish you as a better and smarter footballer, you would win more playing for Klopp because you only perform on a big occasion when your heart's in it and not when it's science. But what are you going for?
I'm going to dispute everything you've just said about Pep Guardiola.
Love it. Go on.
Strap yourselves
Absolutely
in.
everything.
Here we go.
Get
I
between us
think
quick.
Pep Guardiola is the biggest fraud in the history of football. There it is.
Because
he does nothing that hasn't been done for 70 years in football.
Okay.
Tuck in your whip, tuck in your fullbacks. Oh yeah, that's never been done before. Press your wings up. That's never been done. Everything he does has been done before. He hasn't come up with any of this.
No.
And even more than that, I truly, truly believe football's got nothing to do with science and tactics. Basic tactics. Pick your formation.
Yeah.
You're playing right back. You're playing left wing. Whatever it may be. Right? It's got nothing to do with any of that. You need clever footballers who'll do the job and good footballers.
Yeah.
Right? And I could go to Manchester City, win the fucking league.
Yeah.
Right? It's that simple.
Yeah.
I believe that Pep Guardiola has built a reputation on being the luckiest fucker ever, right? He took over a Barcelona side where his first major decision was to go, yeah, this Ronaldinho and this Lionel Messi, I don't think I can squeeze them both in the same team. And I'll get rid of one of them. Oh, really? Oh, that's the kind of decision we have down Vale Park all the time. That is. Fuck's sake. Decisions we have down Vale Park is like, fucking hell, we need to move that mound of sand out the fucking way, or the cement mixer, or whatever it may be.
Well, make sure
But
goalposts don't fall off.
Yeah, exactly, right? He had that team that had been built by Frank Rijkaard and, of course, Johan Cruyff before him, right? And he was lucky enough to have those amazing, amazing players all come through that system at the same time. The entire midfield, right? The best player in the world, right? All coming through at the same time. Carlos Puyol, right? Players like that. Biscuits, as my dad calls him. Biscuits, Sergio Biscuits, right? They all come through at the same time. And my dad always says, my old man always says, what does Pep Guardiola or any manager when he walks into that dressing room, that team, that great team at Barcelona, and he walks in the dressing room, what does he say? What does he say?
Yeah.
Right? Because I tell you what he says. He'll go, lads, give it Lionel.
Yeah, simple as that.
Okay, boss. Okay, see? No, that's it. Just give it Lionel. Give it Lionel. And then maybe some of you run in the box in case there's any rebounds, and you fuckers don't let any goals in.
Simple as that.
Right? Sorry, mate, but I just think it's bullshit, all this scientific. He might stand on the training pitch doing all the drills and all the rest of it, mate.
Break
but
me out here, Stephen.
it's bollocks. Whereas I believe Jurgen Klopp, sure he has his tactics, and I'm sure he knows what he wants in his pressing game and all the rest of it. But I'm sure Jurgen Klopp goes into the Liverpool dressing room and goes, give it them three up front. Get it to fucking them and shoot. Fucking shoot as much as you can.
With a beer in his hand.
With a beer in his hand. Fucking shoot. Because I tell you what, the greatest manager in the history of football didn't come up with bullshit tactics, didn't try to be anything he wasn't. Brian Clough used to tell his players to get the ball to his best players, fucking shoot where they could, right? That's why he was the greatest. There was no bullshit with Brian Clough. I never thought there was with Alex Ferguson either. I'm not a Man United supporter. But with Fergie, you could always tell he was saying, give it to Ryan, let him get down that wing, and then pile in the fucking box and get on the end of it, right? That's what it... And to me, so I sort of agree a little bit with what you were saying at the end, which is that football should be passion and not science. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We've got a little bit of a gremlin in the system here. Hang on.
I don't know what's going on. I'll just keep our listeners happy. Anyway, this is Liam. I'm just talking to you. I don't know what's going on.
To be fair, Liam,
There we go. Cheers, Joe.
while I can grab you,
Cheers,
while
mate.
Steve-O's not going to slate me for...
Oh.
We're back. The audio is still going, but we'll have a little
we're
bit of a
good.
blip
Yeah, well,
regarding the visuals.
the Decepticons got into the system again.
The Decepticons have linked up to the internet and
Ridiculous.
ruined our system again.
Ridiculous, a good impression.
But
So-
we're back.
Well,
if you can see us, hello.
But just getting back to on topic is, do you think that Klopp and Guardiola have the allure of managers like your Brian Clough, like your Fergie, that players didn't want to play for Man United or Nottingham Forest or whoever it were. They want to play for Fergie. They want to play for the manager, not the club, if that makes sense. Do you think Klopp and Guardiola have that allure?
I mean, for me, it would always be about playing for the club. So
Okay.
if I had the choice there, I'd want to go play for Liverpool. I wouldn't want to play for Man City.
Yeah.
They were playing against Vale 10 years ago because they're not a fucking big club. Which is when we go back to the Super League that came out.
Oh,
we're taking the big clubs. It's like, well, Man City aren't
It
a big
went well
club.
for him. That
I'm sorry, City supporters who might be watching this, but you're not a big club. You're a rich club. You're not a big club at all. If your money disappeared, you'd be fucking nowhere, would you?
Simple.
You telling me that Manchester City are a bigger club than West Ham?
Yeah.
Yeah, Spurs. Right? No, they're Stoke.
Everton.
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa.
Leeds.
They're not at all. What they are is they've got more money than anybody else. So it's bullshit. So for me personally, I would go and play for Jurgen Klopp. Liam. I'd play for Sheffield United.
Yeah, Chris Wilder, wherever he is.
And that's been the Anger Management Podcast. Thank you very much for listening this week. We'll see you again next week. But it is a tough one because I've listened to both points and I can sort of see both sides. But it's a really tough one, and I've thought about it while you guys have been talking, and I'm going to be a fence sitter. I'm going to be a fence sitter.
No. Absolutely no way.
No.
We are putting this to a Graham poll in a minute.
Right,
and one
okay,
of the options isn't
okay.
going to be an absolute pussy fence sitter with Liam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have an indefinite break instead.
Yeah. And that's another pile that's just gone. So I don't know. I like both managers. Don't get me wrong, but I think I prefer Guardiola over Klopp, but only just. I think I've seen stuff in past, like the substitutions and Klopp throwing his toys out at Pram and like, you can't have 8 substitutions and all this bollocks. But
when we talk about throwing toys out of a pram, I've never seen anyone worse than Pep Guardiola for being a fucking mardos ever in the history of football management.
But Klopp will
he'll blame anything. He'll blame this podcast for fucking
Mourinho's up there to be fair.
Mourinho's definitely up there. But Klopp continues to play the same 11 players week after week after week, and then he'll blame fixture backlogs, and he's like, "Oh, I'm appealing this, I'm appealing that," and I just think, come on, this is fucking professional football. You're in the Premier League. You're in the best, air quote unquote, league in the world. And you're fucking acting like a child. But then again, with Guardiola as well, I just think it comes across as a bit like
he's a miserable fucker.
Pompous, arrogant.
Yeah,
there is entitlement.
Yeah, as though it's like you're beneath him.
I'd go for a beer with Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't fucking.
I do agree.
I wouldn't piss on fucking Guardiola if he was on fire. The miserable bastard.
It comes across as like say that he's better than you.
But are you going for Guardiola? Liam?
No. I'm gonna. My thing is that I don't forget where I come from. And I brought up on a council estate, and I fucking hate posh, arrogant arseholes.
So you're going Klopp?
So I'm gonna have to say Klopp as much as it pains
me and the other
say.
posh, arrogant arseholes apparently.
There we go. So
we go.
we are going to put this to the only people that actually matter, which is you fuckers, right? You viewers, you listeners. We are going to ask you very simply, if you could play for one, would it be Jurgen Klopp or would it be Pep Guardiola? It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's only 2 choices because we haven't included fucking fence sitter over here.
Come on, I'm a decision at the end of the day. But you can head over to our Twitter page at AngerManagePod and let us know your thoughts and feelings. Or why not drop us a comment and then we can discuss it on the next episode of the Anger Management Podcast.
Which should be recorded next week as long as I don't die and Liam gets no more piles.
Yeah, pretty much.
lads, it's
as simple
time.
as that. I'm never going to let this down, am I?
It's time for everybody's very favourite segment. This is
bit.
Worldwide. This
Love
segment
this
is. It's known throughout the 4 corners of the earth. It is, of course, Weekly Woke Watch.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't got a jingle yet, but we do need to get one.
We'll
just give it a bell.
We'll get one for season 3. I'll make a point of doing
Season 3,
one.
we'll definitely have a Weekly Woke Watch jingle. I'm going to kick it off, lads, with my gripe for the woke brigade this week, and it is the NFL. Okay, Liam, do you watch a little bit of NFL? Is it you or is it Rich? It's Richie Sumnall, isn't it? Watch a little bit of NFL. I'm not an American football fan at all. I did used to play it in the living room with my dad when I was a little kid. Right, it used to be on Channel 4 in the 80s. Older viewers, older listeners will remember when it used to be on Channel 4 on a Saturday night, I think it was, about 8 o'clock, and I used to watch it with my dad. So I do understand the basics of the game. So anyway, the problem I've got with the NFL this week is it's now been made a rule in the NFL that there's a certain percentage of coaches. I think they have to have one offensive coach in each team.
Oh yes,
that is now of cultural minority.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
minority group and a minority gender. So women, basically, right?
Okay.
Now, I've got absolutely nothing against women being in sport, against anybody of any colour, race, creed. I couldn't care fucking less what anybody is. What I do care about is any job being given to anybody because of their race or their fucking gender, right? The NFL, like a lot of crazy fucking woke organisations, don't seem to understand that picking employees based on their race and gender is not equality. It's the exact opposite of equality. The only one thing that should matter, one thing, is merit.
Exactly.
The
Yes,
only thing,
100%.
only thing.
always.
What they should do is actually do blind interviews.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
It's a
these
good
people
point.
are in a box with no windows, so they haven't got a clue who they are. Disguise the voice, so they can't make an assumption based on the voice. So they literally have no clue whether this person is a man, a woman, black, white, green, fucking whatever it may be, right? And then pick them on the merit, pick them on the answers that they give and the merit and how good they'll be at the job, right? The NFL. From me, I'm sure someone from the NFL watches this show.
course.
You can go fuck yourself because you fucking absolutely woke wank. Fuck off.
Well, our second most listeners are American.
Are American. So,
So-
guys, get in touch. If you watch the NFL, if you think that picking employees based on race and gender is a good idea or a bad idea, please let us know, and we'll discuss it again next week if you want to.
But surely bringing someone in who's like you say is either gay or is a woman or whatever it may be. Like, I don't judge whatever. And but surely bringing them in just for the sake of bringing them in is a bigger problem.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's
You know
crazy.
what I mean?
You're making the problem worse. aren't you?
It's like saying, "Oh, we've got no spaces for you, but we'll just shoehorn you in. We'll just fit you in here," and it's utter bollocks.
Well, imagine, and it's not just about white versus black or anything.
No,
So
of course
imagine,
not.
I don't know, imagine you're a Hispanic person that goes in to that job interview to be an offensive coach in the NHL. NHL, that's hot, that's hockey. In the NFL, right? So you're a Hispanic guy, and you go in, and they give the job to a black person, for example, who's not as qualified as you, but because they need a black person, right?
Yeah.
Well, that makes no. That's not right.
But
That's
where
not
does-
fair.
Where does this come from,
Or
though?
vice versa, if it's the other
You
way
know-
round. So if you're a black person who doesn't get a job because they've got to fill a quota for an Asian person, it's mad.
Yeah,
It's
But
completely mad.
who are these people that have sat in this room? And it'll be people that are paid millions a year to make these decisions to be like, right, we need, like say, an Hispanic, a black man, a black woman, or whatever. You know, who in the right mind thinks we need this? We need
And
to take
not
these
one
boxes.
person in that board meeting goes, hang on a minute, guys,
That's
hang on.
that's
Just before you carry on, that's bollocks.
Yeah.
Right? That's mental what you're doing there
Yeah,
is
exactly.
completely... You're making the problem even worse. I've got an idea for you. Let's pick every employee. We've got every single one. Let's pick them on merit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
simple.
let's
yeah.
pick the people who are best for the
Can
job.
they do this job? Yeah, that's fine.
Absolutely crazy.
Simple,
You're
isn't
in.
it? It's simple.
Yeah,
as
yeah,
that.
exactly.
I think, Steve, you make an unbelievably good
But
point.
people call me a racist for that point, mate, because I believe everybody should I genuinely believe people should be treated have equality of opportunity.
Yeah.
Because I believe that. People then say I'm racist and I'm right wing. Right wing's the one that always gets me because I want people to have equal opportunity. I'm a right winger. I'm a right winger.
And I mean,
I'm
it's,
left-footed.
I mean, I remember us having a conversation. I mean, it was only over Facebook, I think. And I remember saying to you, I don't agree with something that you'd said. And I said, but I respect the opposite opinion.
Exactly,
Nevertheless,
mate.
on this, and I never thought I'd say it, you made a tremendously good point, Steve-O. So well done. You need a tune or a bell for every time you make a good point. It'd be dusty, wouldn't it?
Could we just have like an applause clip
Yeah.
of it?
But
That's
it's this,
crowd.
it's that kind of stuff that gets people cancelled in the modern age,
Yeah.
mate. It is. Weekly Woke Watch, Liam. Did you have one?
I do have one, and mine is about the Fresh Prince. The Fresh Prince.
Prince.
Let me start
Like
that
a
again.
lobster.
Yeah.
The Fresh Prince of Bel End.
Yeah.
Our very own Will Smith.
Brilliant.
What the
Mate.
fuck has
Mate.
happened with that? Please tell me you've all seen
Comedy's
this.
basically illegal now. If you're offended by something, you're allowed to get on stage and twat the comedian. Right?
And then when you get the award, you come on stage and say, you know, violence isn't the answer. I want, you know,
You just
I want
trusted
to
somebody.
spread love and all this bollocks. Fuck
What an
off.
absolute douche Will Smith
Like
is. I'm
this-
sorry, mate,
this-
but you're a complete twat.
Like, this is how it's always been. I mean, the fucking host is a comedian, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, yeah.
And my favourite was Ricky Gervais when he came out and he was like, don't stand there and give a speech and tell people how to live your lives. Come on stage, get your award, and fuck
And
off.
fuck off.
Simple as that. And that's how it should be. And then you're in this room and it's all these, it's full of egos and people telling us, the everyday man and woman, for us to do better and how we can do better. Okay. This is some of the richest people on the planet. And it's just, and don't get me wrong, people will sit and listen to this and be like, yeah, but Liam, you know, he took piss out of his wife. His wife's struggling with hair loss and all this, that, and other. Right, okay.
The issues you've got there,
what's
Liam,
that got
right,
to-
is number one, you've turned up to an awards ceremony to have your ego tickled. basically.
Exactly.
That's all it's
Yeah.
about.
Yes.
Because if you didn't, you wouldn't be there. You'd be like, well, give me the Oscar if you want, but I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
I couldn't give a fuck. I'm comfortable enough with my own skills. I don't need an award from you fucks telling
Yeah.
me that I'm mint.
I don't
right?
need validation
So,
from you.
so
lot.
straight away, you're a cunt for turning up,
Yeah.
really, aren't you? Let's
Yeah.
go. Just being there, you're a cunt straight away, right? We all know the vast majority of them are crazy, lefty, woke, fucking tree-hugging loons, right?
That like their ego
That
stroked.
like their ego stroked. Then you hire a comedian, right, to do the presentation, right, to present the whole award show. A comedian whose very act is based on being offensive and
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
taking
roasting
the
people.
piss
Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
people. You've also got to remember that Chris Rock and Will Smith already know each other. I'm not going to say they're mates because I don't know, but they know each other. They know each other. There's pictures of them all over the internet together,
exactly.
right? You've also got to remember that Will Smith is a guy who is a comedian,
Mhm.
shows that he's been in, films that he's been in.
Yeah.
He's a comedian, right? Might not be a comedian in the same vein as Chris Rock, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you turn up there and the comedian makes a joke that you don't like. I love stand-up comedy. Occasionally there'll be a joke that I'm like, fuck, that's a bit too
Yeah,
rough,
yeah.
that is. But you know what? I've paid my money to go watch a comedian. I might not like all his jokes.
Yeah.
Right?
I was just
but
about to say that.
I can't take offense because I've gone to watch a comedian.
Exactly,
Do
yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like taking offense. It's like being pissed off because you've been hit by the football when you've gone a football
you've gone
match.
swimming and got
it,
wet.
It got,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
it's
that's a good
ridiculous.
one.
Ridiculous. So my point is, Will Smith is one of these celebrities that he's constantly telling us all how we should live our lives and how we should all be fucking and doing this and doing that, and he's woke like all the rest of Hollywood, right? But when there's something said that he doesn't like, he then gets up on stage. It's like Antifa, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He gets up when they hear something they don't like. They preach peace and equality for everybody. But then he hears something he doesn't like, climbs on stage and twats the person that
That's
said
it.
who is doing their job.
Exactly.
Remember
This
this,
is what they're
lads,
paid to
doing
do.
the thing they've been paid to do
Yeah.
by Will Smith and all the other fuckers
Exactly,
that are
yeah,
there. Right?
exactly.
Remember this,
Yeah.
okay? If different circumstances, if he's walking down the street with his wife and Chris Rock comes up to him and starts taking the piss out of his wife because she's losing her hair, sock him in the fucking mouth.
Yeah, which is fair enough.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
right? But
Context
what
to
I
it all.
don't understand is if this had been in any other environment and Will Smith had climbed on stage and punched someone in the mouth, he'd have been arrested, right? But he wasn't arrested. He was given an Oscar and then allowed to make a big speech about it.
love and peace and everything.
And
Oh,
all credit
fuck
to
off.
Chris Rock, because when it happened, I thought Chris Rock was going to fill him in. I just thought it was going to be a big punch-up. And I can't believe that we're now in a society. I've been reading a lot of comments about other comedians who have been basically saying, so what's the precedent now? So I'm doing a gig at a comedy club in, I don't know, Manchester, and I say something that somebody doesn't like. They can now get on the stage and punch me in the face.
Yeah.
And of course, think about it in America. So somebody says a joke, a comedian says a joke, some dickhead in the audience doesn't like, would they pull out a gun and shoot him?
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
is that
Like
okay
you
now?
say,
Is it?
You won't go to a comedy club that you've paid for and then get offended when you get roasted by, who's hosting it. It doesn't work like that. And
Absolutely
and
crazy.
like you say,
Liam.
you're not gonna leave that comedy gig again that you've paid for and put a complaint in or,
And you know
or
what?
give him abuse.
You know what? If this was a person who was on the right side of the political spectrum, someone who was a conservative, for example, and they'd got up on stage and punched Chris Rock in the mouth, there would be fucking uproar. There would be uproar. Imagine if it was a white bloke that had got up on stage and punched Chris Rock in the mouth, right? And I just find the whole thing utterly abhorrent, and Will Smith should be fucking ashamed of himself. Ashamed of himself, right? I always liked Will Smith. I think he's been in a few decent films. I loved him in The Fresh Prince. Even when I was a little kid in the 90s, early 90s, I used to love Jazzy Jeff and The Fresh Prince. It was fucking great stuff. Boom, Shake the Room and all that. But now, Will Smith, you're a cock, mate.
And then they come out as well, and I don't know if you guys have seen it on social media, like, oh, no one would be saying this if he died. It'll be, And I'm like, that's a bit fucking extreme.
Like,
You know what I mean?
You don't say much about dead people, to be quite
Yeah,
honest. That's a bit
exactly.
black
And like,
white.
don't get me wrong, if he is having issues or anything like that, he needs to get help. But at the end of the day, I think Will Smith's made his bed and needs to fucking lay in it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Did you have a weekly woke watch for us, Joe?
Are you ready for this? And it
Yeah.
ties
Oh,
in
go
brilliant.
on.
We're always ready.
I need to strap myself
Born
in.
I've
ready.
just sat quietly for a reason there.
Oh, okay.
Because mine is his stupid missus who I can't fucking stand.
I was going to get to that, but yeah, go
my
on.
God, like,
Hit me with it, Joe.
I listened to something earlier on about, and I mean, without being maybe too naive, about she was sat across from him and told him that she'd cheated on him.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know anything.
You don't
about. I'm
know-
not a
Yeah,
big.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not
I
into
can't
celebrity gossip.
Neither
stuff,
am I necessarily.
What's
but
this about?
it was like some.
Is this the other night?
No,
Like-
this is might
before.
be years ago, perhaps. I'm not too sure when it was, but this is at least a year.
I
This
think
would be
it
years.
was something along the lines of, and if I could be wrong, but I think it's something along the lines of she cheated on Will Smith with someone else, and then
Chris Rock.
and then blamed
Blamed him.
Will Smith for not knowing about it.
saying that, we got in an entanglement. You like didn't treat me like a woman, or you
Yeah,
like you
and
couldn't
if you were-
satisfy me sexually, and
And
all
if
this.
you
And I
were
was
a
just like,
man, you'd have known about
yeah,
it.
you'd have
Well,
done
that's
something
probably
about
what
it.
was fucking up with him the other
Yeah, do you know
night.
what I mean?
isn't
This
it?
was going to be
He's
my point.
probably
Yeah.
searching for any way he can for bin the fucker
Yeah,
off.
or try and be like, oh no, I'll look after your love, sort of thing, because you're fucking terrorising me. Which
Wow,
we go on about
Will
reversing
Smith's
things
a
round.
fucking tart.
Do you know what I mean? If that had been a man doing it to a woman the other way round,
That'd be World War
fuck
Three.
me. You'd be,
Yeah.
you'd
So
be
hang
done.
on. So hang on. She told.
They were sat like, say, almost
We were on a show or
like a
something?
talk show almost. Say it's just like a loose women sort of set, but there's a table. She sat there, he sat there. I believe this is how it was.
Yeah, yeah.
And it
something
can't
along
be
them
too
lines.
far from this being the truth anyway. And they were having a conversation, and a big reveal was her getting into an entanglement
Air
with
quote,
another
unquote.
with another bloke whose name was something like August something
Something
or other.
stupid.
And what a shit month, do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
At least pick July or so a bit
Fucking
warmer,
hell.
but nevertheless. And I mean, so for me, like him getting up and smacking him, I don't think he was bothered about the joke because he
She's-
looked like he was laughing.
Yeah,
at
about to
first.
say he said the joke, and Will Smith's laughing, and then she laughs, and then her face just drops.
Yeah, and he's. I
And then
reckon
next
he's
thing
in
you
a
know-
position where he feels like, oh fuck, I've got to do something.
Yeah,
and
and
I
then
mean,
he
he
just-
should have
yeah,
bigger
yeah.
bollocks to be fair. but
felt
at the
very
same time,
forced.
I'm like,
And
Yeah.
you know what, lads? She's not even fit.
no, she didn't.
It's just
You know
there's
what I
no
mean?
need for
It's
it.
not
But-
even worth
but
Not
still-
even
scrapping
worth
over.
it.
But don't you think that that's just toxic relationships?
Oh, big time. And like,
so why don't you just fuck her off?
and we go back onto hollow sort of attempts of highlighting things again, men's health and all this. But then I see a video, which brings me on to my main gripe of someone being like, oh, but we've looked at videos of when they were talking, and there may be traces of when Will Smith has suggested that he cheated on her too. Oh my!
You don't fucking know
we
that.
did videos where there may be something that might have been somebody's mate.
Scooby and the gang have come in the mystery machine, and actually, we've taken Will Smith's mask off.
We'll go to Bel Air.
It's just Hugh Hefner. He never died. He's just shagging everything.
We'll go to Bel Air and split up and look for clues.
All right, we've got it. Yeah. Can you imagine that? Raggy.
Madness. Weekly Woke Watch. It's been an eventful one this time, guys.
Madness.
We are going to have our final song of the evening, guys. I just wanted to touch quickly again on what a shitty time it's been in the last couple of months. For me personally, I've lost a few people, a couple who I don't know personally, but it still made a big dent on me. I started the year by losing my dog, as I've mentioned, and I love my dog. I'd had it for 15 years, and it was grim. We lost Taylor Hawkins, the Foo Fighters drummer, just a few days ago, and I actually know Taylor Hawkins. I've worked with Taylor Hawkins. There's a picture of me and Taylor Hawkins right there. If you have a look
in the studio,
just chilling out at we at V Festival or Reading Festival, some festival somewhere a few years back, and I actually knew Taylor, and he was a lovely, lovely gentleman, a great musician, and a brilliant drummer. And it really was horrible to see him go. I woke up to the news yesterday morning that the owner of the Ottawa Senators, Eugene Melnyk, had passed away in his 50s, I think. He's not very old, which has thrown the future of my ice hockey club into doubt. We don't know what's going to happen. He was the bankroller, as it were. And in America, I'm sure you know, Joe, it's franchises in America, so we could end up with the franchise move to another city. It could be, I don't know. And Eugene Melnyk was a very divisive character in the Ottawa Senators fan base, but he did love the Senators. He wasn't a stay-away owner. He was always there every game. He was out of his seat, loving it when we scored, and you know, like I say, divisive character, but he saved the Senators back in 2003. And again, somebody else that I'm gutted about. But of course, the main thing for me, going back, as we've mentioned already in the podcast, is the tragic loss of my old and dear friend Simon Clulow, from my local town, Cheadle Teen, and our local area. Simon was one of the greatest musicians that I've ever known, and one of the nicest guys that I've ever met. And he'll be missed very much. He's already been missed by me, by my other friends. And shout out to all the guys who are struggling at the moment. I know you are, lads. This song that I'm going to play is my favourite song by Simon. I had the pleasure of jamming this several times with him in this room, right in this room. I played the drums right there. Cotty, if you're listening, Cot was standing there. Simon was over here. I think we had my friend Carl playing bass, and we were jamming with a look to start touring and all the rest of it. And then obviously we had all the COVID craziness that happened and everything. But I have a great memory of sitting in this room behind that drum kit playing this song with Simon and the rest of the boys. The song's called All About Us. I played a cover of it at my show last Friday, which I thought was a nice tribute to Simon. So I'm going to try and share this with all our listeners. Again, please check Simon out. He is in all the usual places. And if you're sitting there at home, have a glass of whiskey, because he loved a glass of whiskey. Okay? This song is All About Us by the amazing Simon Clulow.
About me anymore. Don't care what other people say, 'cause they don't It's all about you and me. All about you and me. All about you and me. All about us. Closer now, pulls apart, and still in me the beating heart I give to you. I see it now, it's crystal clear, the haze of life throughout the years we raced together through. I don't have money, don't have gold, we're beautiful, that always go to touch. And I don't know, but I don't care, we turn around 'cause we don't wanna stay. It's all about you and me. All about you and me. All about you and me. All about us. It's all about you and me. All about you and me. All about you and me. All about us. It's all about you and me. It's all about you. It's all about you and me. It's all about us. All about us. It's all about you and me. Said it's all about you and me. It's all about you. It's all about us, all about us, all about you. It's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about us.
Welcome back to the Anger Management Podcast with me, Andy Stevenson.
Me, Liam Simcox.
And me, Joe Price.
That
Beautiful.
was an emotional listen for me, guys. I have managed to keep myself together, but you have just listened to my friend, the late great Simon Clulo, and the song "All About Us." And as Liam said off air, we've had some strong songs tonight.
Fucking have. It's been amazing.
That is my favourite song by Simon. I was blown away the first time I heard that. Mark Cottrell sent it to me to learn to play the drums to several years ago now, however long ago it was, I can't remember. And I remember putting it on here in the studio and just being blown away by just everything. Simon's voice, the groove. I think it was produced by either Matt or Tom Bishop, friends of mine, friends of Simon's, and maybe even both the brothers who worked on it. And I was blown away by everything. Just a great song. And that's something that over the last week or so I've been listening to quite a bit. Upsetting at first, if I'm honest, but the more I've listened to, the more it's brought me a lot of comfort. Simon's music as a whole, but particularly that song, it has brought me a lot of comfort in the last week or so. So again, guys, Simon Clulo, please get out onto Spotify, onto Tidal, onto Amazon Music, Apple Music, wherever it is. Listen to Simon's stuff. It's absolutely fucking awesome, and I don't say that lightly, and I don't say that just because he's my friend. I say it because it's fucking great. Get
really
out
good.
and listen to it. So thank you, Simon. Thanks, man. We are going to have our final question, Jerry's final thought, as it were. Jerry. We've had a bit of a sports theme to this podcast with our special guest Joe Price, who, as we've designated him, the sportsmonger.
The sportsmonger.
Since he's arrived. So I wanted to put this to you. We're all big football fans in this room, and I wanted to put this massive question, simple but huge, to both of you guys. Who is your favourite footballer of all time? And I am going to come to Liam first.
Mine is just because he's the epitome of male football, and it's a bit before my time. But George Best.
George
Ooh,
Best.
okay.
George Best,
Nice.
I would say, and like everyone's seen the quote of what would
My dad's already given you a vote on this. by
Right,
the
there we
way.
go. And like,
So
obviously-
that's one to Liam straight away.
we've all seen the quotes of like, if you had choice of scoring a worldie at Anfield or shagging Miss Britain or whatever, or Miss World, whatever it is, what would you rather do? And he's like, I've done both. And it's just, I just like to say, I've obviously like I say a bit before my time and stuff like that, but like I've watched how he used to play, and he was just, he didn't give a shit,
Just
did he?
graceful,
It
wasn't he?
like, and you see him at like after matches, and he'd be necking pints and doing fags and stuff like that, and he'd just get up morning after a night, couple of drinking, he'd go and score a fucking worldie at Anfield.
My dad is the biggest Vale fan in the world, just like I am, right? And my dad and his brothers and my dad's uncle, my great uncle, used to buy tickets to Stoke to go and watch George
To
Best
see
play.
Best.
Oh,
to go-
wow.
and they hate Stoke just
Blasphemy.
like I do. And my dad said he was that awesome that it was worth going in
Yeah.
the Vicky ground and watching him play. And my dad always describes it as, back then you could just literally kick shit out of wingers, and these great defenders they couldn't get close enough
Yeah,
to
exactly.
even kick him
On a shit pitch
on a
as well.
Yeah,
shit
yeah,
pitch
yeah,
where
yeah.
the ball bobbling all
Yeah.
over. And he was just. My dad always says, he says Pele's the greatest player ever.
Mm.
He said, but he didn't get to see Pele live. He saw George Best live, and he says so. So my dad will always say the greatest player ever is George Best. We're gonna come across to you, Joe. I know you're absolutely in about 12 minds with this
I know,
one, mate.
yeah.
I can see it.
It kills me because there's loads, and like I say, I could bore yourselves and everyone for hours. But when you said it, and I probably would stick with it, the first one that came into my head was Zinedine Zidane.
Okay. And tell us why that is. Zidane is in my top 10, but he wouldn't be my favourite.
I think because he wasn't necessarily quick, but was always smart enough to. The speed of thought would beat pace.
I'm just going to say something here. Joe plays a very similar style to how he's
He's
languid
Loosely.
midfielder. Not got much pace, have you, mate? Right? He's
No,
not.
my
He's not a
talents lie
pacey player,
elsewhere.
but he's quality on the ball.
Technically.
He's quality on the ball. Very. I know it's not the same standards
No.
by any stretch,
No.
but that's how you play your game.
Well, I like that, mate. I'll take that.
So I'll give you that.
I think, like, with how quick he could think, the technical ability, I think he's also smart enough that he could have played centre half.
Well, he'd have been the best left back in the world.
Yeah,
wouldn't
do you know
he?
what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
He could
yeah.
have played up top. He could have played in any odd position that any team plays now. He could have played holding, could have played the 10, he could have played, like you say, inside forward, whatever you want. I can never remember him, other than one occasion, sort of not rising to the occasion. That time that Roy Keane obviously bossed him when he was at Juventus. But even God rested on a Sunday, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? Everyone has a day off. And there's always that highlight reel, and he's had loads of them in many. And there was a chap I know through football, you man named Luke Shaw. He's a manager of Team Rangers. I think, and he-
Sure, yeah.
yeah. But he's good football in mind. But nevertheless, it's Zidane 100%.
Vale fan.
Yeah, but that's the only downfall. And I think with Zidane, it was the fact that time where he took on that Brazil side that were meant to be the best.
Yeah, and he just dominated
Was it
them all.
06 maybe?
Yeah, I know which game you mean.
And this is like, he didn't play a club game after that. This was his last tournament. He was
Yeah.
participating, and he had all these players in the prime, and he just made them look like children.
He was pirouetting round them all.
Like
wasn't he?
children.
I know which game you mean.
And I just think it was similar to like why I like Pirlo, to be fair, but nevertheless, we stick with Zidane on the fact that you're not necessarily quick. You aren't known for your finishing. You're not known for necessarily being that sprayer of passes, but you're smart enough and good enough to do it all. To be honest, Zidane,
there's very few players I can think of on the ball that were better than Zidane. I always think of those players as the kind of player who received the ball and you almost feel like they've got time. Get the packet of fags out.
Yeah.
Get the lighter out the other
Yeah,
pocket.
yeah.
Yeah.
Spark one up. Have a couple of drag and then lay it
Yeah.
off. Do you know what I
The
mean?
game's as quick as they make
yeah,
it. Isn't it?
Yeah.
exactly.
So for me, yeah, Zidane.
Zinedine Zidane there. I have got a clear. I've got a clear winner and a clear second, but my clear winner, my clear favourite footballer of all time is Paul Gascoigne.
Oh,
Yeah.
how do we forget Gaza?
Lovely.
Paul Gascoigne is probably my favourite sportsman of all time.
Yeah.
I love him because he's the greatest footballer I've ever seen play live. I think Maradona was probably a better player. I think he was definitely a better player. But I saw Paul Gascoigne play every week.
Yeah.
I've seen him live a couple of times, right?
Unreal.
And I've never seen a bloke move with a football at his feet like Paul Gascoigne. Every time he got the ball, I thought something awesome was going to happen. Whether he was playing for Newcastle or Spurs or Lazio or Rangers or was it Middlesbrough? He ended up at, right?
Everton as well.
At Everton, he was just fucking great.
Yeah.
And the other reason I love him so much is because he was completely and utterly fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
He still is.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah.
as mad as a fucking March hare, and we don't have that in sport anymore.
No, we don't.
It doesn't exist.
No one
that-
even comes close, do they?
That craziness in sport no longer exists, lads. And I loved the 1990 World Cup and his craziness and his fake tits and his just the famous
Dentist chair.
dentist
Yeah,
chair
yeah,
celebration. I mean, that goal against Scotland. I was 16 during that tournament, 16 years old in Euro 96, and it was mine. Gaza was just my fucking hero.
Yeah.
I just wanted to. I had a Gaza haircut. I had a Gaza shirt. I just wanted B Gaza. He was fucking great. And even in his later years, I mean, remember that crazy nutter Raoul Moat who killed them people?
Oh, he went
And
fishing with him. or
Gaza
whatever,
just
yeah.
leave it. Step out the way, trained police officers. I've got a 6-pack of beer. I'll go sort him out. Just fucking go on, Gaza. Come on, mate. You sort him out. He'll be alright when you've had a chat to him. I mean,
Fucking
you know
hell.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Gaza, he's fucking and I think many of us, I'm one of them people that loves a flawed star.
Yeah.
Maybe which is why you love Zinedine Zidane.
Yeah.
Maybe why you love George Best.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think most of us who are real sports fans, it's why so many of us prefer Tyson Fury to Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
We love them guys who fucked it up. They fucked it up, or they're a bit fucking bonkers,
Human.
or they've made a shit load of mistakes and they've come back, or they've carried on and they've ploughed through it.
Yeah.
And that's why I love Gaza. And every time I ever saw him play, he was just fucking phenomenal. The stuff I used to watch Serie A on Channel 4 every Sunday morning. Go Lazio! And I used to watch it just so I could watch Lazio and watch Gaza.
Gaza.
And when they'd have the full games on of Lazio, because they used to have them on all the time because Gaza played for him, and I'd just be glued to the TV like this. What would have been 92, 93, 94. I'd be glued to the TV, and they loved him. Every club he ever played for, love him.
Yeah.
I was in a sauna in Scotland in
Right.
Edinburgh last year. I'd gone for a break with my missus.
Did it have an happy ending?
No. I was with two great big fat Rangers fans, right?
Oh.
Mrs. had gone at that point, right? So I talking, and they got the Rangers shirts on
Yeah.
in the sauna, these lads.
Fuck
Commitment.
it.
I'm sitting there sweating my bag off, and I got talking to him straight away about Rangers, like, and we were talking about the current side and everything. And I asked him almost the question I've just asked you guys: who's the best Rangers player ever? And they both instantly went, Gaza. By a fucking mile. And I was like, really? And they both
Fucking
said
hell.
he was so much better than any player that's ever played at Ibrox.
Unreal.
They'd said that he was 10 times better than the next best player.
Yeah.
And I love him. I love him because he's a flawed fucking hero, which is what most of us aspire to be, I suppose,
Yeah.
don't we?
Yeah.
We don't want to be perfect. We just
No, of course
we'd
not.
love to be a flawed hero. So that's the second Graham for this week.
Oh, is that a Graham Paul
we've
as well?
got to have that as a Graham
Okay,
Paul for the
fair
sports
enough.
special, haven't we?
Okay.
So who is the greatest? I'm not going to say the greatest. Who is your favourite footballer out of the
Yes.
three? Liam,
George Best.
Joe,
Zinedine Zidane.
and of course for me, the mighty great Paul Gascoigne. Lads, we're almost out of time. That is it.
Jurgen has spoken. What a
Jurgen has
pleasure.
spoken yet again. I want to say a big, big thank you to Joe Price
Pleasure's
for
mine,
coming
mate. Cheers,
in
Joe.
and joining
Thank
us.
you, buddy.
It's been a
Thanks for coming on.
fantastic podcast. It's been a very emotional podcast for me to get through. As you know, that I've already touched on, I want to dedicate this podcast to the memory of my friend Simon Clulo, who has brought me so many great moments through my life. And a lot of what you see here, a lot of what you guys watch on YouTube and you listen to on the podcast has been made possible through my friendship with Simon. We learnt music and sound engineering and production and all the rest of these skills that allow me to make this podcast with you guys. Those skills were learnt with Simon as a kid and as a teenager and a young man. And I just wanna say I'm gonna miss him for the rest of my life. And thank you to Gav and thank you to Mark for letting us feature their songs as well on the podcast this evening. Guys, thank you again. And thank you to all our listeners. Please check out Simon on all the usual streaming services. And we will see you very, very soon, hopefully. Again,
crossed.
as long as Liam doesn't get a big fat case of piles.
Oh, one last time, get that in there. Cheers, Andy.
There it is. We'll catch you on the flip-flop.
See you later,
later,
guys. See you
Enjoy
later.
yourselves.